Meyer backpedaling, running out of time, spinning away, and nobody open. Now he flips it up into traffic and makes a mistake. Tried to force the play, and it's intercepted. DJ Mays rumbling down inside the 10.
This is 365 Sports.
Bowling Green with no timeouts. Nick Singleton. Touchdown, Penn State.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Klubnik, undaunted, unafraid, complete, Turner, touchdown!
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Why not?
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at uniteprivatenetworks.com.
Jennings on the play fake, slides it upfield. Matthew Hickner off to the races. Hickner at the 30, full speed, and the big tight end goes 75. It's a Pony Express.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Well, we start a week. Good afternoon as we're closing in on the end of July, which means, yes, in August, and in fact, for some schools this week, reporting, practicing, season begins in about 3 or 4 weeks, depending on what school you're talking about. College football and news today on Deion Sanders, Colorado football coach, Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoak. We do appreciate your time. We have some good guests lined up for today. We'll tell you about them in just a moment. But there were actually thoughts, and there were a couple of Twitter feeds, which you got to be careful about. Deion Sanders' press conference today in Boulder would be that he's leaving. He's not going to stay at Colorado. Never did I once even think that way. Here is what Deion Sanders said today, along with those in his support group, after, admitting that he had cancer, bladder cancer that was removed. The bladder was removed. He's going through many changes in life, as if you've been through that before, or prostate cancer. Here's a couple of comments from Coach Prime.
Every year, Coach goes for a CT scan of his vascular pattern to make sure the blood clots are away. So with this scan, everything turned out really great from the vascular side. About 2 weeks later, we get a text from his primary care doctor that said, I need to talk to you and Coach. We need to refer you guys to a urologist. So about 3 days later, we go see a urologist. They go in for a quick procedure. The urologist told us, hey, within 10 minutes, I can tell you guys if he's going to need another procedure or if we just need to do these follow-up appointments. And the doctor told us, okay, you guys are going to need another procedure. I'm going to refer you to my colleague, Dr. Kurkasia. But at this point, you have a bladder tumor, and from there, we'll go get it removed.
And the tumor was very high grade, invading through the bladder wall, not into the muscle layer, something we call very high risk, non-muscle invasive bladder cancer. So we did discuss options. We discussed some options of treatment in the bladder, and we discussed bladder removal as well. Given his commitments to his family and to the team, elected to undergo a bladder removal. We performed a full robot-assisted laparoscopic bladder removal and creation of a new bladder, and I am pleased to report that the results from the surgery are that he is cured from the cancer.
You can clap, it's okay. This wasn't easy. Men, everybody, get checked out. Because if it wasn't for me getting tested for something else, they wouldn't have stumbled up on this. And make sure you go to get the right care, because without wonderful people like this, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today, because it grew so expeditiously, I could say. But please get yourself checked out, especially African-American men. We don't like going to the doctors. We don't like nothing to do with a doctor. You know that. So I'm not just talking to the brothers. I'm talking to my Caucasian brothers, my Hispanic brothers, my Asian brothers, my everybody, and my sisters. And that's all, y'all. Get checked out. It's been tough. I think I dropped 25 pounds. I was like a Atlanta Falcon prime at one point, and just dealing with the catheter, dealing with all the stuff that I had to deal with. And right now I'm still dealing with going to the bathroom. Like, it's a whole life change. Like, I can't, and I'm going to be transparent, I can't pee like I used to pee. It's totally different. And, thank God, I depend on depend. If you know what I mean. I truly depend on depend. Like, I cannot control my bladder. It is real. It is real. So if you see porta potty on the sideline, it's real. Okay? I'm just telling you right now, you're going to see it. You're going to see the practice. You're going to see one, because it is unbelievable. Like, dozing off and waking up, first thing I'm grabbing my crotch to see if I peed on myself.
All right. Everything he said, for anyone who's ever had to deal with prostate cancer, bladder cancer, any kind of cancer, he's right. American men, for whatever reason, hate being tested. They hate going to the doctor, whatever reasons whatsoever. I can relate a little bit that's personally. I'll get to that later on, not about bladder cancer, but the good news, he's okay. And they caught it because he went to get tested. And then he got tested again. He caught it. So Deion is full throttle. It will be a little bit different, as he mentioned, the I guess you could say sense of humor with a porta potty at practice and on the sideline during the games. But he is okay after being kind of quiet, really, since the NFL draft, and also with a short and very quick appearance at Big 12 Media Days.
I'm wondering if just a couple weeks ago he was still waiting to find out, what the prognosis was.
No, because the doctor later on said that this was all done and finished by mid-May.
Yeah, so that's why I'm getting a little confused. I didn't bring it up then, but I guess he didn't want to, I guess he didn't want to be there that long that day, I guess. I don't know. And that was a pretty good excuse not to do it. But he had
to go to the bathroom. He couldn't stay up on the stage that long. Yeah, seriously.
True, true. But glad to hear that he's doing okay. And I didn't even realize at Big 12 Media Days when he was there. We were doing something, recording an interview, because he wasn't there that long. And then when Garrett told me, like, did you see Prime? And I'm like, no. And he's like, yeah, he was walking out just a second ago. And I was like, okay. But super happy that he's okay, and that he's cancer free, and that this wasn't a retirement or a step away press conference.
Yeah, I think it's great news, obviously, to hear that everything's okay, and you didn't quite know when we were heading into the weekend what this press conference was going to be about. We knew he had health issues. We knew that he had to kind of dip in and out during Big 12 Media Days. Thought at one point he wasn't even going to be there, and did make you wonder what was going on. But sometimes it's not for us to know right away. It's not our business, and Deion relayed the news on his own terms, and appreciative that he's let the world know what was going on, and now we can all be thankful that he's doing all right. I know he's got his detractors, but I think even those folks can sit back for 1 second, stop criticizing him as a coach or as a parent, and just be happy for a fellow person that they got their cancer taken care of. And hopefully with his influence, his advice there for maybe somebody who was on the fence, now that they've heard Deion Sanders say, hey, go get tested, here's why it could save your life, then those people will follow through and maybe save their own lives or somebody else's that they love as a result. So nothing but a positive message there that I hope some people who maybe have been a little bit stubborn do listen to, maybe because it's Deion, because he has that kind of influence. But, that's great to know what was going on. I didn't expect that we'd have to hear something because he's had so many health issues over the years. It just kind of comes with the territory now with him. But this is obviously a much more serious matter, although the others were serious in their own right. And so, I'm glad that this was a happy press conference when all was said and done, and that he's now able to move forward and hopefully feeling a lot better. And obviously things will be a little bit different, like you mentioned, with the urinating issue and having to have a bathroom close by. I mean, I know you relate to that when you had your procedure not that long ago, and probably various others out there listening do as well. But you'll take that over the alternative, right? So, I'm glad that Deion's okay. I'm glad he's going to be roaming those sidelines, even if sometimes it's maybe a little bit more slower, maybe, or whatever. But he's going to be on those sidelines, and he's going to be around, and that's the great news.
Yeah, I'm happy for him, thrilled for him. It is a change of life. Everyone knows that back in May of last year, I had my prostate removed. A lot of it, I was right on the edge of what they call a Gleason report. I could have probably just continued to just make sure everything was okay, but because of my oldest brother, I felt it was better. My urologist told me he thought it was better for me to go ahead and make that change. It's a change of life. When I'm playing golf, I got to be careful to make sure that I know where everything is if I need to duck away and pee. I don't have it like him, though. I don't have it where Deion appears. The bladder being removed compared to the prostate is a much bigger deal. The bladder is what holds it. The prostate's what kind of like a filter and kicks your mind, hey, you got to pee. I feel that, but I'm not going to make it about me. It's about him, but I do feel for him. I don't have any kind of a bag. They have, I'll tell you what they do. What do they call the bags? Is it
catheter?
A catheter? They now have them where they can strap it to your thigh like it's a gun. And I had that early on. Now I don't do that. Rarely do I ever have like, oh my goodness, I sleep at night. I wake up because I feel like I have to do it. But yeah, it's a huge difference. And there are times you've got to be aware of where you are, what you have with you. And I wish him the best of luck in getting through the physical therapy part of it to make sure one day he doesn't have to worry about what he's doing, falling asleep and waking up in his bed wet.
Yeah. He did say about stubborn going to the doctor. I do like, I'll tell people about just one of the things that we kind of experienced with you is you weren't stubborn about it. Like you went and got it, but you certainly had that trepidation about everything.
Oh yeah.
Like you had a little bit of like, oh no, I'll tough it out. Like it'll be fine. And then, like those things are completely natural that everybody's going to feel. The other thought I have is like listening to you, listening to Deion is that it is so weird that our bodies have all these parts that like, we'd like to have them all to function completely perfectly, but they just like, yeah, you don't need them.
Yeah, there's certain things,
gallbladder, prostate, tonsils, like,
No, you do need some of the prostate is necessary, but you can live without it.
But you can live without it. You're just like, yeah, the car will run. It just might drip a little, and you're like, okay, thanks.
But the good news yet again is about the being checked part. My oldest brother didn't for a long time, came back to haunt him. And it was too late by the time. He still had a good 4 to 5, 6 years left in him, which thank God he did. But for every man, we've had Joe Theismann on talking about PSA levels and much more. And that's why if you're a man 40, 45 and older, please go get your regular checkups. And hopefully there's nothing there. But if there is, then they can catch it in time.
Yeah, and I'd be willing to bet somebody out there who probably doesn't listen to their doctor, listen to their friends, would actually be swayed by Deion. So I do think that will be beneficial to somebody somewhere out there. And again, just glad that he's okay. Was curious heading into the weekend. I did feel like if it was something along the lines of retirement due to a health issue, I do think it would have leaked out, and that's why I was not really concerned that this was going to be that, because I just feel like there's no way that would have been held indoors for 3 days if it was something like retirement coming up. So, still weighed that was a possibility because you don't know until you know. But I think that the ability for Colorado to rally around him will be very important. And obviously, we'd heard all summer long how he wasn't really around. He was dealing with these health issues, and then he was very touchy about it, or I don't know if maybe touchy is the right word, but he obviously wasn't going to acknowledge it at Big 12 Media Days, got kind of pissed when somebody asked him about it or just deflected away from it. And so now we understand a little bit more as to why maybe he was guarding it back then. He just wasn't ready for one reason or another to go ahead and tell the world. But now he has. So Colorado moves forward, and he moves forward a little bit different, but still here, and that's the great thing. And I find them a really interesting team. Not that that's now the more important thing again, but just going back to football, I do find them to be a fascinating team entering this year. I mean, I think you can make a compelling case for why every team in the Big 12 or any league right now, this is the time to look into the interesting things about them. But Colorado in particular, post Shador, post Travis Hunter, the interest he's brought there in the last couple of years, a Heisman Trophy, all those things. I mean, Colorado matters because of one reason and one reason only, and that's Deion Sanders. Yep. And without him, we know what that looked like the last few years before he arrived there. It was a program that still had some history to it, but was pretty much lost in the shuffle and very forgettable in some ways. And they moved to the Big 12. He's hired prior to that, and there's a lot going on that's brought attention to them. And I just hope that they can keep their resurgence and their exciting times going. And I'm glad that he's going to be around to hopefully see that through.
Yeah, I want to see what he can do. The first couple of years have been very entertaining. Of course, what they did with Travis Hunter and Shador and company, I like to see what they're going to do with all those guys gone. And he has put together what is a very intriguing staff. So good luck to Deion moving forward. And again, one of the notes somebody in the chat mentioned that they put an artificial bladder in his system. So that will help at some point. But as someone who has been 13 months or 14 months for me, it's a process. It's a continual process, but I feel a hell of a lot better where I am compared to the few months after I had the surgery.
Good news for him, too, is he's in a position where he's going to have top flight medical care.
Absolutely.
For sure. So he's good to go in that way. But, yeah, I found that not going to the doctor because you're scared of what might happen, psyching yourself out. The dentist is another thing that you do that you don't want to go to. But, man, it never ends up better by not going. Yep. It's always better to just go ahead and bite the bullet and get the cavity fixed versus the tooth pulled.
Yeah.
Or,
that's so damn true.
I mean, that's that thing, though. Is like you just go get a cavity fixed. You're like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then, then you have to eventually just get the whole thing pulled. And so, that's the kind of thing where it's the same thing with the doctor. Like, you get it checked out, and, hey, maybe you have to have this done, but it's sure better than the more extreme version. So, men especially, I know women have this issue as well. But, if you were looking for a sign, maybe Deion provided you a sign, just go get checked out.
I have a retainer now that I have to wear every day, because I delayed the dentist for too long. And believe me.
We used to work with a guy who was terrified of the dentist, Rich, and he's a very big guy. And the reason he is because when he was younger, when he was a kid, he had to have a tooth drilled, and he's huge. Like, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
Like 6'8", like big guy. And they didn't put enough Novocaine into his tooth. So he had that nightmare, but then he got an abscessed tooth, and I was like,
that's even worse.
I was like, that's even worse than that. And he's like, but I'm not going to the dentist. I'm like, buddy, you gotta go. Like,
buddy, if you got an abscessed tooth and you don't get it fixed, you're gonna die.
Yeah,
literally die.
So our general manager had to tell him you have to, he went to the doctor because he was having headaches. And the doctor said, could you open your mouth? He's like, you got to go to the dentist. He's like, well, I'm not. I had a bad experience. He's like, well, here. And then they had to gas him. And he's like, well, they should have done that. I was like, they should have done that the first time. Just knock him out.
Yeah, you got to do that. That's for sure. Absolutely.
So the only other comment I have on this, really, other than just being happy for Deion, happy for Colorado, that now everybody kind of knows the deal, is I can't believe, and I guess I actually can believe, that somebody on social media actually tried to be first with a false report at College FB Portal, block that account and move on from them. I mean, I know everybody's grabbing for attention nowadays, but the links that people will go to just for the sake of trying to get some likes and some retweets, garbage, to try to sit there and put out a report about Deion that was not based in fact at all and was clearly just an attempt to get some attention.
Yep.
Screw people like that, man. No need for that in any way, shape, or form. And I'm sure that the backlash that they got was just the attention they were craving, but absolutely pathetic.
Yeah.
Absolutely pathetic.
Look, if he was retiring, Pete Damel, Brett McMurphy, those guys, Ross Dellinger would have had it before this guy.
Yeah. Some of the other Heather Dinich, et cetera, those type of reporters would have all been all over it. So some of you sharing stories about how you've had relatives, brothers, sisters, fathers, grandfathers have gone through it, didn't catch it in time, and it's a bitch, man. Cancer is the worst word, basically, to me in the world. Now, here's another note in college football terms. Eric Galko will join us today from the East-West Shrine Bowl about their list of prospects for the upcoming season who have NFL potential. Jim Williams, one of our more popular guests today at 425, G.J. Kinne, Texas State football coach, and we have Phil Bennett. And he will share some of the memories from this past week when I spent a couple of days with him down in College Station. All of that, plus the top 5 in Andrews polls as well. Maxwell Award. They released a list today, and it's a big list. And, of course, they can change. There's a big list. The watch list will start coming out. You'll have that. You'll have the Heisman Trophy, the Unitas Award, the Bolitnikoff Award, the Earl Campbell Award. All of those will have their watch list to start to come out. And the Maxwell Award watch list came out earlier today. So that's just the start of what will be a run of many of them over the next few days. I did check the names. I'm just going to throw out the names, like 12 names that are from the Big 12. Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson, Sawyer Robertson, Bryson Washington, Brendan Sorsby, Rocco Beck, Avery Johnson and Dylan Edwards, Josh Hoover, Baron Morton, Jaden Nixon, and Devin Dampier and Jaheim White. I may have missed one or two. If I did, I didn't mean to. Those are from the Big 12 schools that I mentioned among many others on that list.
I mean, yes, that time of year, so I don't get too caught up in preseason lists because they are pretty much like, for example, the Maxwell, like every logical candidate, like who's a pretty good to great quarterback. For example, they're all going to be on there. So maybe there's a person or two that's not been mentioned. And the thing about that is, it doesn't matter. This has no bearing on anything.
Yep.
It's just a watch list.
Yep.
It's really all it is to create conversation like what we're having here. So, yeah, I mean, the obvious names will be on here. So be pretty much the same as the Heisman list if they were to put one out. Does the Heisman put out a watch list? I don't know if they do that or not. I don't think they do.
I don't think they do. I don't think they have a watch list. No,
but I know a lot of the other awards do, and it's just a way to kind of get the season started and give the people a little bit of a taste of those that are eligible and most likely to win it. So, yeah, all the best players in college football, for the most part, are on this list. And I do think with the types of quarterbacks that the Big 12 in particular, as you mentioned them, has this year, I do think there's a handful of candidates that could be in contention. I think they've got an uphill battle because this is a very prestigious award. It's a hard award to win. It's along the lines of the Heisman, maybe not quite on that level, but not far below it. So
if there were no Heisman, it would be
it'd be right there. So this is going to go to one of the best players in college football, and I do think that the SEC and the Big Ten, we're going to have their fair share, but I do think the Big Ten with the quarterbacks and then guys like a Jordan Tyson have a great opportunity to make some noise and be involved in the talk about this throughout the year.
All right, so there we are with that, and that's just one of many. Now, Garrett, we have Eric Galko. Let's take the break, come back with Eric, and then, of course, we were going to have Matt Brown on today, but he's been moved to Wednesday. Ryan Mulvaney will be a guest that we have on Wednesday, so we'll do all of that. We'll look forward to Jim Williams. He put out a lot of different information over the last 3 or 4 days about the potential of what happens when the next network television contracts are up. G.J. Kinne was great. We'll have him and more. We do appreciate you. If you haven't, please subscribe to our channel, 365 Sports. Garrett Ross, running the mothership today. Brandon Rowe is here, and also King Jiu-Jitsu, Andrew Valade, who's already working and putting up the polls. This is 365 Sports. Petty Clinic, lowt.com. We talked about getting tested. Dr. Ken Petty can help you when it comes to, for example, a PSA blood test. He can do that for you. Now, we're saying it. Let's do that if you have it, if you're in the Waco area. But Dr. Petty also well known for helping to make sure your testosterone level is where it's supposed to be, needs to be, so you can be the person that you kind of expect to be. Energy, your sex drive is fine, you feel good. But if you have any of those symptoms that start to disappear or go away, it could be a lot of things. Could be you're out of shape. Could be you lost you don't eat very well. You don't sleep very well. Got pressure on you in your life. But it also could be your testosterone level has dropped, and that's going to affect some of what I mentioned. Dr. Ken Petty can help you out. Set up an appointment. Get your blood work. He gets the results. Contacts you at pettycliniclowt.com.
Big savings are waiting at Allen Samuels in Waco during the Make This the Summer event. Check out the all-new Jeeps that are arriving daily. Drive off in a 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sport for just $29,990. Or grab a new Jeep Compass Latitude for only $26,700. The road and trails are calling, and ramp up your summer in style with the Make This the Summer event at Allen Samuels.
Come by, let's be friends.
I'll never get used to this. I'll never get used to this. This is how I wanna live. Forever we'll be singing like, oh, I'll never get used
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow at GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Make this the summer event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, where big plans start with the perfect ride at great deals. From weekend getaways to daily drives, your next new truck, SUV, or car is waiting.
Come by. Let's be friends.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Eric Alco, the Director of Ops, the East-West Shrine Bowl game that's come every year at Dallas and Fort Worth and has been doing that for a long, long time. Understands and recognizes talent from the college football level for the next level in the NFL. He joins us now on 365 Sports. I mentioned the East-West Shrine Bowl 1,000. We'll get to that in a minute, Eric, but what were your thoughts today? And good news on Deion Sanders in that they caught what he was dealing with. It's not easy. He's got a battle ahead of him with all that goes with it, but just the fact he's going to be at Colorado.
You're muted, Eric.
Sorry, guys. No, okay. It's such great news to hear on Coach Prime, and he's someone that he shares what he wants to share and is able to share with the media. People think that's only who he is, but he's such a tough, inspirational person and means much to people at the School of Colorado and around the country because as a coach as well as who is a leader as well too. So it really is truly outstanding news too. And I think a lot of people around the industry, you're kind of seeing who really talks to Deion and who kind of converse with him as well too. You see people like Roger Goodell or Randy Moss reaching out. The industry as a whole really appreciates what Deion Sanders does, and it's so great that he'll be at Colorado for a long time still.
So, Brandon, you guys have released your 1,000 players to watch or watch list for the East-West Shrine Bowl, which has to be one hell of an undertaking. Before we get into the functionality of it, I would say, like, if people want to know who is probably going to be good this year, just look at this list and the teams that are in there the most. If they're not good, then you should be really disappointed.
Yeah, we've actually done a study the last couple of years on a correlation between number of guys on our preseason watch list and then the record. And it's pretty stable in terms of, hey, Power 5 schools with a lot of guys on there generally tend to win 9, 10, 11, 12 games that year. And Texas Tech is the leader this year with 24 names. And I think Texas Tech's a great example of they've gotten a lot of attention for what they've done in the transfer portal. That's been really made well aware across the entire country. But they've also had a lot of great homegrown players as well. Caleb Rogers at receiver, Morton, their quarterback, a lot of their defensive linebackers and defensive backfield is all homegrown as well too. And what the portal can really do for a lot of teams, I think we've seen, is it builds your depth. Just like NFL free agency, it's hard to go find star players. Once in a while, you'll have a Cam Ward or someone like that. But for the most part, it's how you build depth, and depth is what you need to win in college football nowadays as well too. But certainly it sounds like a lot of players, 1,000 players, but there's a lot of great talent out there that are redshirt sophomores, juniors, seniors heading towards the NFL in the future.
Is there a particular I guess takeaway as far as there's a specific position that looks exceptionally strong this year. You mentioned Tech is a specific team that has a strong base of players, but is there a theme, I guess, or two that emerged from putting this list together?
Yeah, I think the linebacker and defensive back are going to be strong this year, for sure. Offensive line will be good again. We saw a really good class last year as well. Defensive line maybe not as strong as previous years as well. But I'll tell you, I know it's the cliche position to talk about, but every year we look at the quarterback class, and I think some people every year get too excited. Oh, this next year's class is going to be great. We hear that every single year. I think this year, I'm still unsure who the clear-cut first overall pick will be. I think Arch Manning might stay in school one more year, so we'll kind of put him aside for a minute. But the depth of this class is remarkable. And shortly when we finished the Shrine Bowl 1000, which really finished about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago officially, we started to put together our big board and say, all right, who are the top 8, 12, 16 quarterbacks for the upcoming NFL draft class for the Shrine Bowl. And every year there's usually a cutoff, like, all right, there's these 3 or 4 guys, and then 7 or 8, and then we'll kind of see what happens. And this year, I mean, it's 17, 18, 19 deep of guys that could be one of the best 4 or 5 quarterbacks in this class. And I think the depth without having a clear-cut Caleb Williams or someone like that at the top of the draft makes this fascinating. It's going to be a really difficult task for us too. So I think quarterback, again, maybe not the obvious slam dunk. He's going first overall no matter what this year. Quarterback is in it. But there's Cade Klubnik, and then you got Fernando Mendoza, Garrett Nussmeier, and then guys like Taylor Green at Arkansas who could emerge. I mean, Sawyer Robinson at Baylor's got a ton of talent. So you got a really wide range of quarterbacks that are really impressive this year.
Eric, I want to go back to this list. I mean, seriously, this is like incredibly in depth. How do you know who to? It's 1,000, so it's not 100. It's not 1,000, 1,200 or 1,250 or whatever. But honestly, how long does it take from the end of the draft or the end of last season to start working on this one? How many people are involved? How much film or whatever else do you watch?
Yeah, throw some numbers at you. We've got 12 people on staff, over 100 years of NFL scouting experience, plus a lot of great young scouts who will be NFL scouts for a long time as well. In our database, we have over 4,000 players graded, evaluated, written up, so more than 1,000. And the process of narrowing this list down to 1,000, I know 1,000 seems like a lot, but again, it includes redshirt sophomores, juniors, redshirt juniors, so on and so forth. It's difficult, and there's a lot of great players in the country. There are, I think, 66 guys from FCS D2 or D3 on here as well, not just big school guys as well too. So to watch the entire country, we got a great staff. Also, colleges every year are super helpful. We talk to well over 100 colleges between February and just a few weeks ago, from the director of player personnel and GM of those schools to a handful of head coaches I'll speak to as well, getting information from them on who's looked good in camp, what are their transfers going to be like, who's going to start. It's a lot of information gathering as well as scouting by our staff. And then NFL teams are our partners as well. There are many teams who are amply involved in what we do on a year-round basis, including this watch list as well. And what this watch list, I hope, will become 3 years ago, and I'm thankful that it kind of has, is that if you're a college football fan, this is a great way to get started for the year. Like, all right, who's going to be good? Who should I watch? Who are the guys I should care about? If you're an NFL draft fan, this is your starting base. This is your Bible to begin the year with and whittle down from there. But we've seen colleges, even NFL teams, tell me, hey, when's it coming out this year? I want to see what's on that list. We put in our database these guys, major guys list as well too. So it's a big achievement for us. It's a great honor that it's been so well received, not just in the media and by fans, but by NFL clubs and colleges alike too. And it's a huge passion of ours for 5 months to get this list down to 1,000 players and be accurate and right and have the best players in here.
When I scrolled down to Texas Tech, when you mentioned about their 24, between Texas A&M, and Texas Tech, there's my mouth, I'm spraying into my finger. But Texas actually has the least amount, but that just means that for a team like that they're a young team, because they had kind of a roster clean out last year when it came to guys going to the next level.
Yeah, I think if we included like true sophomores, they'd be up there with anybody. I think Texas is loaded for the future as well too. And again, Arch Manning not on there. We expect him to stay in school one more year, want to save that precious spot for somebody else. But yeah, don't make no mistake. Texas is more of an outlier in that they've got plenty of talent this year and they'll be competing as well too. But A&M loaded again. Texas Tech did a great job in the portal. And I think our social media team put a graphic up of kind of visually displaying where the teams that had the most players in the country. And it's the guys you think. It's Oregon's, it's Alabama's, it's LSU's, Ohio State's. And I think Texas Tech being in that group is pretty well to do for them in a really tight group of the top schools in the country.
And for folks who go to the page, it's great that you can sort by conference, by position, by all that. I mean, man, that does a world of good to make this easier to follow along through and kind of get to the heart of it. And Eric, I mean, I think the Big 12 is pretty well represented this year. I mean, a lot of the quarterbacks are getting play, obviously, but I mean, UCF and OSU maybe have a handful of guys, but it seems even in a league that's got 16, you should have a healthy number. But between Tech and Baylor and BYU and Arizona State, there's a lot of pro prospects. I don't know if this is higher than it's been in a while or per capita or whatever, but seems like the league's got a lot of talent this year.
No doubt. Almost 20% of the list is in the Big 12 alone, which is not nothing. And this includes FCS and small school guys as well, too. For the Big 12 to be that represented, I would imagine they're probably neck and neck with the SEC. I think a big part of that is schools like Cincinnati having a good number of NFL players, Houston doing a great job in the portal, Kansas State always does an incredible job. TCU's loaded. And then, of course, Texas Tech helps quite a bit. But I saw you guys at Big 12 Media Day, and it was a theme a year ago, and it stays a theme this year. The Big 12, top to bottom, especially the bottom, is the best conference in the country, in my opinion. It's hard to project where these teams are going to go. Obviously, Arizona State made that almost a meme a year ago with how they did. But it's impossible to figure out who's going to be the worst team because you might say, oh, it might be this team. They lost a lot of guys, but man, Mike Gundy's a heck of a coach, or Houston's doing this, but man, they got a lot of talent on offense out of the ball this year too. So the talent depth that the Big 12 has really makes them being high on this list not really a surprise.
Well, and this year, and this is not true. This is not true for every league every year, but the Big 12, like they only have like 3 or 4 teams that have legit quarterback questions going in. Colorado's confident enough in both their guys to send them both to media days. So I wouldn't even put them in that category of like, they don't know what they're going to do. That kind of tells me they're happy with whatever happens there. So that really puts the league maybe in a spot that it hasn't been in a very long time of, you know, when you're talking about cross-conference, non-conference games or into the postseason, you're likely going to get a veteran quarterback who's pretty dang good going against you.
Yeah, and we saw it last year, right? The two teams at the end of the day were Will Howard, who played 3.5 starting seasons, and Ryan Leonard, who started 40 seasons in college, right? Yeah. The experience is going to matter for a lot of these teams. And I think not only will Big 12 teams be battle-tested in season by all the great teams, but I think whichever 1, 2, maybe 3 of those teams go to the playoff, they'll be ready to go. And I think whether it's Avery Johnson at Kansas State, who started for 1.5 years and he's got a ton of talent, or it's Morton at Texas Tech, or Sawyer Robertson, or all the other guys we can mention, a lot of talent at quarterback. I think the Big 12 also, we thought for a long time it was the run and shoot. It was a lot of receivers, a lot of defense in the Big 12 nowadays. A lot of great defensive players. Iowa State's got a whole bunch. Texas Tech did a great job there. TCU has a bunch of guys on defense. It's a conference now that will still score a lot of points, but it's pretty well rounded when it comes to NFL teams and how they view this conference.
So you've mentioned Baron Morton a couple of times now, and when the league's quarterbacks get brought up, it's Robertson, it's Levitt first, Avery Johnson, obviously, and then Rocco Becht, so on and so forth. But I do feel like, and I'm guilty of this at times, Baron Morton's there, and what kind of a profile do you think that he has? What kind of a opportunity do you think that he has this year, and what do you like about him as a player?
Yeah, I think, for one, I didn't mention Sam Levitt earlier, but Sam Levitt's a heck of a quarterback. I mean, I saw him last season, saw him at Manning Passing Academy. He's got the tools to be a first overall pick level player, whether it's this year or next year. But I think Morton, Texas Tech kind of chose him over Tyler Shuck, who went early second round. And I was at those practices a year ago. When you're there, you're like, yeah, it's pretty close, but Morton does some things better than Tyler. And Tyler's a great quarterback and deserved to go early second round. But that's how talented Morton can be for this team too. And the second piece is that he's got the arm talent, he's got the mobility, he's certainly got the experience, and now he's got the weapons. I mean, Texas Tech might have the most experienced and top to bottom best starting 5 offensive linemen in the country week 1 of the season. Now we'll see if those guys can make up for or match that expectation, but all of their guys have either started at Texas Tech or elsewhere at a high level, and he's got multiple receivers that are talented, and he's got 2 or 3 tight ends who are pretty talented as well, and Joey McGuire knows what he's doing on offense. So I think for Morton, it's all ready for him. He's got the talent, he's got the tools now, and he's got the resource around him. I think if he can capitalize on it, we can talk one of the biggest risers in the draft process this year, and if not, it'll really be on him if he's not successful this year too. So I think Morton's got a good bit of pressure, and a lot hangs on his shoulders for Texas Tech making good on all the talent they have this year.
Craig mentioned the link to the East-West Shrine game, the bowl, the top 1,000, and how you can go to either their classification or position or school or conference, 10 players out of Division II, 5 from Division III, 3 or 4 dozen FCS, and a bunch, of course, G5, and a whole bunch when it comes to the Power 4 or 5 conferences. Is this a list that changes at all, Eric, once you like a watch list, or is this thing, people are going to be added into it because they get better and you don't know much about them right now? Does it change much?
We won't change it on the website, but certainly internally, we're watching every play. Like I said, we've got 4,000 players written up. So there's players already not on this list that we're going to keep our eye on. And again, thousands a nice round number, but there's more than that we're really watching closely. But we've got to make decisions on who we're inviting in 11 weeks. As crazy as that sounds, to the East West Shrine Bowl this year too. So it's on us to be really decisive. But last year, there were 6 or 7 players who were not on Shrine Bowl 1000 that earned a Shrine Bowl invite. So every year, there's a couple of guys that, whether we miss as a scouting staff or really emerge from a place we didn't see it coming as well too, they get a chance to do that. So we'll be watching the entire country as well. We've got a great scouting team that's not just watching these guys, but everybody. But yeah, it's not many guys. Thankfully, we do a pretty good job in the preseason. But every year right now, my phone blew up from agents or colleges. Oh, you missed our guy. What are you doing here? But we'll find those guys during the season for sure.
Did you have just like they're like in they got a little star by him in this other list? Like, make sure we watch this one.
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, we've got the Shrine Bowl 4,000 if you wanted to as well. That feels a bit much too. But we've got all these guys too, and again, we've got area scouts that go by region or school too. So our area scouts probably have their own small 500, 600, 700 lists per area as well too. But we have debates every year. I mean, the last 2 weeks we were at about, I think we were stuck at like 1,100 or 1,150, and debating on who those last 150 guys would be to be cut out too. So it's a lot of talented players in the country. We do hopefully a good job of canvassing the entire country. And now knowing how many people rely on our list, we take a painstaking approach to it as well too. But we're excited about the 1,000 guys we have here as well. And we'll look to see who can kind of prove us wrong in season.
All right. So I don't know if I've ever asked you this question before. I know you went to University of Delaware and then, of course, Villanova Law School as well. How did you get this passion to do this? Is this something that you, as a fan growing up, or how did this get in your blood?
Obviously I was a fan growing up and loved watching football. And I really got a chance to work with a lot of great people early on in my career. And really, I started out, ironically, one of my first jobs was working at a much, much smaller college all-star game called the Dream Bowl, and helping a small all-star game with just Division II, Division III players kind of emerge as NFL draft prospects, which takes place weeks before the East West Shrine Bowl. And then over my career was at the XFL and consulting with NFL teams and agencies and colleges, et cetera, too, and kind of grew from there too. But to kind of be back in the all-star game world, it's a great experience, because my career has largely been consulting on the team side and helping teams be successful. And in this job, I can really help players and give all this wisdom I've learned over my 15, 20 years of doing this to these players on navigating the draft process, the interview process, what matters and what doesn't. Really, my tweets are promoting a player to be drafted earlier, which is really an empowering thing as well too. So the culmination of my career working a lot on the team side and the league side to now helping players and the Shriners Children's Hospital, which is all this is for, is super rewarding for us.
Eric, of the players who are near the top of your list, you said there could be, who knows about the quarterback position. Is there someone who's getting a lot of love that probably has earned it, but you're not so sure about, that you need to see another full season from them, or you're a little bit worried about someone getting overhyped?
The overhyped piece is always tough, because I don't engage on social media to know who's getting overhyped as well too. I will say that I think I'll stay with quarterback and maybe not name too many names if that's all right. But
sure,
I think there'll be a big difference from what people think the quarterback class is. And then I get a chance to talk with these colleges and players directly, NFL teams, what they actually are. And every year we kind of fall victim to, hey, the consensus thinks this guy, and the guy that's number 1 quarterback is way higher than number 2 quarterback, when in reality it's much, much closer. And I think it's a really strong quarterback class at the top. But I'll just say that talking with NFL teams, there is way less consensus on who quarterback 1, 2, 3 are than maybe any year I've done this in the last 4 or 5 years. I think they are widely different. You've got guys like Talon Green of Arkansas, who I never hear talked about, who's got plenty of talent.
Yep.
6'6", 240, can move. Sawyer Robertson, there are some NFL teams who love him and think he could be one of the better quarterbacks in this draft class. Obviously, Cade Klubnik and Garrett Nussmeier are talented. Sam Levitt's an underclassman as well, too. So I would say for any NFL scouts out there, people that want to get in the scouting world as well, too, have your own opinion, because I think we could be very surprised from what expectations are now where these quarterbacks get drafted in 7 months.
Do you ever get to just watch football without grading it or thinking about the prospects? Or
Oh, yeah.
Do you ever just to watch the game?
I watch Red Zone. That's my
Okay.
football relaxation time on Sundays, is where I can just watch football and just be a fan and check my fans like everybody else either. But no, on college days, on Saturdays, and watching film myself too, I'm very lucky. We've got an unbelievable scouting team from, again, 100 years of NFL experience. Former NFL GM Tom Gamble's on our team, a good friend of mine. So I've got great people. I can kind of let them do their jobs, and I'll kind of watch football and then ask their opinion on things as well too, and let our scouts be empowered as well too. But no, watching NFL Red Zone about the most relaxation I get watching football, because I'm always working these days, especially between now and late January.
You've already done the work on those guys. It's over. Like, you can't.
Well, yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
yeah.
All right, buddy. Thank you, man. It's great to have you on. Good luck as you venture into the football season. We'll be back in touch, Eric. You always do an incredible job. Thank you.
Talk soon. Thanks, guys.
Eric Galko with us, East-West Shrine Bowl. 1,000 players on that list. It's worth kind of just going down, seeing your favorite team or maybe the positions of interest, and have fun with that.
Yeah, I mean, you can burn a lot of time looking through this list, and it is very easy to sort through thanks to the filters they put in. So thankful for that. You go by position, by school, by alphabet, by conference. So yeah, that's super user friendly, I guess is the way to put it. And blown away by the amount of Texas Tech guys. I mean, what do you say, 24? That's incredible. I mean, Texas had like 15 guys drafted last year, whatever the number was. Now, these aren't all going to be drafted guys, but like to have
that 15 number, like Texas, Georgia,
it was somewhere
like
in that range.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's incredibly impressive to have that many. But I asked him, and I know we kind of talk about the Big 12 anyways, but if you look through the list, like TCU's got 10 plus, Baylor's got 10 plus, like BYU's got close to 10. Texas Tech obviously has 20-something. Utah's got at least 10. So, yeah, I mean, you can roll through here and see for yourself. But the league, West Virginia, even with all that's going on there, they got at least 8 guys on here, maybe 10.
Arizona's got a chunk.
Arizona State's got a whole bunch of guys.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, outside of Oklahoma State, who I think has like just a handful, and UCF, who's the same way. I mean, it's got to be about the most, I think, prospects laden this league has been in a really long time, especially considering that Texas and Oklahoma usually had about 20 between the two of them any given year. And it's kind of flipped, whereas Oklahoma was the school that had double-digit guys or close to that getting drafted there. And then now in the last couple of years, that's flipped. And so I think Oklahoma's got a pretty healthy representation on here, but yeah, I think that bodes well for the league. The quarterbacks have been the tail, but there's a lot of other good players. So I'm glad Eric was able to talk about that a little bit.
Most of them have 8 to 10. Some have 15 or 18. And like you said, UCF, which is listed, by the way, as Central Florida on the alphabetical list, they have 4.
That's why I couldn't pull it up. I was wondering why
I scrolled past it 15 times.
I kept putting find
I'm
UCF.
scared to even think of it that way. I'm going to get a Twitter feed.
They had 6 guys when all was said and done. UCF did, and then Oklahoma State, I think they probably had the fewest, which I don't know. I don't know if that bodes well, boys.
Kansas City had like 6 or 7, 8.
Well, Oklahoma State had 3.
Yeah.
Christian Fitzpatrick at wide receiver, Brian McCoy linebacker, and kicker Gabe Panikowski. That's the extent of them on the list. So I don't know if that is ominous for this year or not. I know there's a big question mark about this year for everybody, but them in particular, I think, are on the list of most intriguing schools about, whether they bounce back, obviously, or not. But if they do, it won't be with a lot of, in at least the Shrine Bowl's eyes for right now, it won't be with a lot of NFL-laden talent like some of the teams in the rest of the league. But we'll see what Gundy can do, work his magic, I guess.
Yeah, 3 for the Cowboys. You're right. Like Oklahoma's 20-something. They got a huge list. It's that's on. Again, this is, you go to shrinebowl.com/shrine-bowl-1000. And it's just, I mean, I'm just looking through it and just kind of enjoying some of the names that maybe you don't know much about right now, but they do. And there's a reason they're on that list. Eric Galko, Bo, he's been around. He was part of the XFL. He was a part, he mentioned that Dream Bowl, founder of OptimumScouting.com. And then, of course, now the director of football ops for the East-West Shrine Bowl.
And we're about, a month out from Auburn Baylor.
28th or 29th. Yep.
And they're actually right next to each other alphabetically. And there's 20 plus names between the two of those schools, just the two of those schools. So yeah, each of them have like 10 plus guys that are on this list. So that ought to be a pretty talent-packed game over down the way here in about a month. And man, that feels good to say, doesn't it? About a month away from the start of the season. So yeah, that's going to be a game that I think we see about as many scouts at McLean as we've seen in a really long time, because there weren't a lot of them last year. I checked before every game. There weren't a lot. But this year, I think there's going to be a whole bunch of them there for that first game.
Somebody asked me about what are the Division II schools listed. There's not many, so I'll mention them as we close out the hour. Central Oklahoma, Colorado School of the Mines, Colorado State Pueblo, Davenport, Indianapolis is the name of the school, Minnesota State Moorhead, Slippery Rock, always good to have the Slippery Rock score in there, Virginia State, West Florida, Western Colorado, Carroll, Curry College, Hobart, John Carroll, St. John's, Minnesota. Those are Division II and Division III. And then there's a big chunk, of course, I mentioned, of FCS. And so I was looking to see if Mary Hardin-Baylor, University of Mary Hardin-Baylor, which has had a player or two get to the NFL. I did not see them on the list. North Dakota State, a bunch of the FCS schools are listed who have a chunk of players too.
Do you know who Slippery Rock University? Oh, no, Pittsburgh. Never mind. I thought he was an alum. I thought Mark Cuban was Slippery Rock's most famous alum, but he went to Pitt. So that's kind of a bummer. Not for Pitt, but
that's a cool story, Paul.
But for my thing, I was going to say, hey,
did
who's
you really,
Slippery Rock?
What, you thought he was? I didn't know that.
I thought he was a Slippery Rock alum.
I would have thought he would have been somewhere from up in the Midwest in Indiana somewhere.
He's a
he's a Pittsburgh guy, but I thought he was a Slippery Rock, and I was like, oh, hey, that's the Mark Cuban school, but I was wrong. So.
Well, that's part of it, man.
Yeah.
It's thank you.
Show over. Great. We're going to end on that note.
Thank you. All right. What do we want to do here, Garrett? I know in the 4 o'clock hour we have some some time available. Do you want to do the Phil Bennett pictures from last week, or do that before he comes on with us at 5?
Yeah, we can do that.
Which one?
Whatever you want.
Okay.
Oh, I'd say we do it when he comes on with us at 5.
Yeah, I think we'll do that, and we'll introduce him and reminisce. Man, I just got to tell you, I just needed that 2 days away. He was absolutely fantastic. We're not done. A lot to get to. We've gone over the Deion Sanders press conference. The good news, he will be coaching. Never thought that he wouldn't be, at least in this particular, at this moment, but good news that he's gotten himself taken care of. Very good news.
Yeah, I guess, there's not a lot of headlines today. I guess it's he's clearly the biggest one. And I think maybe all sports, it's that time of year and kind of the calm before the storm in a lot of ways, but it's great news. Didn't know what to expect. Figured it wasn't the end of the career, because I feel like that would have just had to have found its way out into the public before today, but it was kept close to the vest, and it was good news when all was said and done. So I don't know how much Colorado fans maybe worried themselves this weekend about what the news would be, but no need to worry now. Just need to be hopeful that he can continue to progress in a positive way, but sounds like everything's going as best as it can. And so that's great news for Deion and great news for Colorado. And I was tempted to start going down the path of asking Eric about Caden Salter. And I mean, the thing about just rattling off Big 12 quarterback names, I didn't mention Josh Hoover. And I realized that as I was saying, I'm like, and he's probably the second most highly rated quarterback in the conference this year, him or Sawyer Robertson probably, but good to get some thoughts on Baron Morton, because I haven't been the biggest, definitely not fanboy, but he to me is the key to unlocking that full machine. And I think Eric probably, said as much ultimately with his opinion on Baron, a very talented player, but yeah, I mean, he's going to be the guy that potentially takes him over the top, and he's going to have plenty of talent around him to do that, but hard to, like we say, it's hard to mention every school from the league in interviews. We can't cover all 16. Well, we can't cover all 13 quarterbacks that could be potentially talked about at the end of the year. And that's a great problem, and just speaks again to the talent, but it's a fun list to look through no matter who you're a fan of or what conference you follow closely. It's a nice little preseason tool to play around with.
I tell you what I want to do here. And we do have Jim Williams on a lot of things, realignment, at least what could be simmering for down the road after the story last week involving Memphis and the Big 12, et cetera. He'll join us at like 4:20. GJ Kinne at 4:40, 4:45. If you're in the chat, tag Paul. Well, just tag me and I'll read it for Paul and Craig. Questions you have on college football or opinions you want to get out to us, we'll do that in the next segment. We would appreciate your time. Again, just tag my name. That way I'll see it light up, and then we'll ask the question of both Craig and Paul, our football experts. This is 365 Sports. The Baylor Club. I was over there, what was it, Thursday or Friday, went over and saw Nick Colwell. He's the new general manager there, and they're doing a lot of renovating. Man, it's a really good place. Just fantastic food. But they're moving walls and doing this and that. They're completely renovating the bar area, where they also have an area where you could have lunch or whatever, where you could also have meetings with, let's say you sell insurance or you sell something. Maybe it's advertising, and you want to sit down with a potential client and visit with them about the options that they have in front of them. That's a great place to do it. Food is great. The amenities, again, there's some dust right now because they're moving things around. Nick's trying to change up a little bit of the look. But when they do have the food available, it is, because of their top chef, absolutely delicious food. And, of course, just around the corner, as Craig mentioned, a month and a day away from the opening game against Auburn on a Friday to end the month of August, and game days and more. The Baylor Club inside McLean Stadium. Tell them 365 Sports sent you.
The Make This the Summer event is on at Allen Samuels in Waco, and the deals on the 2025 Ram 1500 Laramie Crew Cab are flat out insane. 1.9% for 72 months, or $12,000 off MSRP plus 3.9% for 72. Or go big with a massive $18,000 off MSRP. Your choice. Plus, Ford, GM, or Toyota owners get another $1,500 off. Hurry to Allen Samuels in Waco, where Texas drives Ram.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. Don's Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions, IT success guaranteed.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend's Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
365 Sports will have you up until 6 o'clock today. Close it out at the end with Paul's Top 5 and Andrew Valade's poll results. So, let's see. S. Michael DeHart, what did G just put up here? I thought he was asking me a question. I thought I saw him tag me with a question. I'm not sure exactly. Sorry, couldn't resist. I'm not sure exactly what it was. But who will be in the college football format, and when does it change? Well, I'm not going to predict who's going to be a part of the 12-team playoff. I think we could probably pick 6 to 8 of those. It changes. We don't know, because they have to have next year set by sometime around early December. But it would be stunning if they don't go to 16 for the 2026 season. Stunning because of just money in general.
Honestly, if I had to pick one team that I think will be in the playoff for sure, it's probably Penn State. I think their schedule lines up for them. But after that, I'm not completely sold that Texas will be, even though I think they're going to be really good. I'm not sold that Georgia will be or anybody like that, because I think there's been enough turnover. Like I said on the top 5, I think Ohio State's a 9-3 team, or potentially a 9-3 team, because they just got so much new there and new coordinators and all that. So I think there's going to be some shakeups in that. And then as far as the format, who the hell knows? I mean, keep it at 12, as long as you can before you supersize this thing. But the inevitable growth of it is going to happen, because they don't know how to do anything else but just like the basketball tournament. They don't know how to do anything else to enhance what they already have that's good, other than just overstuffing it. That's the only thing that they know how to do. You're like, hey, how can we make the Big Mac better? And they're like, well, why don't we just put some better meat in it? And they're like, no. 17 patties. And you're like, no, I mean, it's pretty good, but that's all they know how to do. And I think that's the problem.
A lot of the smaller leagues professionally, whether it's the spring football leagues and maybe even other leagues that have tried to sprout, the reason why they fail is because they try to get too big too quickly. They try to expand too soon. The college football playoff is going to be fine because of the millions and millions of dollars, as Stormy Cyclone was asking us about. But the format 12 this year, it'll be 16. I'll be stunned if it doesn't happen the next season.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we would possibly go 12 another year after this. I know that's been the talk all offseason, really, has been the college football playoff. The most consistent storyline outside of all the legal stuff that continues to permeate the sport and will not be going away probably anytime soon. Mm-hmm. So those are the two big topics, really, when the ball's not out there on the grass or the turf, and I'm glad that it will be out there here pretty soon. But in terms of the playoff, that's not going to go away because it is undecided, and people are interested in it and fascinated by it and want to know what to expect. And I think to expect just more is probably the route to go, the safest bet, I guess you could say, because, I don't see them staying pat when we know there's money out there dangling that they could potentially go and grab. Beyond 16, I don't know what that even begins to look like. But I'd be happy staying pat for a couple of years and just seeing how this all plays out. I'm really looking forward to what it looks like this year with just the seed changes. There was so much made about that last year, and now they've changed that up, and maybe it'll make a big difference, or maybe people will still be bitching about how we don't have, or it's all screwed up and ruined like they were in the first week last year. I don't know. We're going to have to cross that bridge when we get there, but I'm excited to see what that little tweak looks like. And beyond that, I think, you're probably looking at least another 4 being added to the mix just because of all the things that have been said, but that's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed. It's very likely. And as far as go ahead.
No, go ahead.
As far as the odds, I mean, Texas has the best odds to make the playoff, which is kind of surprising to me because I would just figure there's somebody out there that's more of like a safe bet than Texas having lost as much as they did. But
and the conference they're in.
And the conference they're in. But if you look at Galco's list, they're still very talented. Sark's taken them to the semis, obviously back-to-back years now. They've been knocking on that door. So I can see where, especially if you believe in Arch Manning, and a lot of people seem to think that he's the last time I feel like we've heard about a guy like this, it was Tim Tebow. And we know he walked on water. So, Arch isn't that far away from getting the same kind of treatment. And if he can be the same type of player results-wise, then, yeah, Texas is a great bet if you think that he will be. But even if he's not that great right away, he's still got greatness all around him in the backfield and at receiver and blocking for him. So I get why they're up there. But, yeah, with Ohio State losing a lot of talent, that throws them into doubt. Georgia's looking not unstoppable for the first time kind of ever. I'd say, Oregon, Clemson are all very good teams, but they're not just no doubt about it because the leagues are so big now. You don't quite know what they might run into. But to me, the team that would be the biggest, they better make the playoff would be Penn State. That's the team. They better make the playoff with all that they got coming back. The rest of them, I could see you have a good year and you're on the outside just looking in, or you get one of the last few spots. Or you're just in it and you win the SEC again, like your Texas, or Georgia don't win the SEC, but you get to the SEC title game and you're in like Texas. I could see that, but the team I'm looking at, this doesn't answer your question, that is you better make it or this is an absolute failure, would be Penn State.
All right. Would you, any of you, and in the chat, yes or no, is there a team you would say will be a part of the 12-team playoff, whether they win a game or not, that you would bet a body part?
Well, God, no.
A body part? No, I don't get. No, I'm not going to do that for anything.
Finger?
I might put my pinky toe on Clemson. I swear to God.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Good for you. Know what? Good for you for having the courage to throw it out there.
Really good.
All right. I asked that in the chat. By the way, Gregory Krug, this is a unique random question, but who, in your opinion, guys, was the most impressive person you met during Big 12 media days?
Cody Campbell.
All right.
Wow.
Way to kiss the billionaire's ass, Garrett.
Garrett, you are not going to get a check from him. You are not getting it. Oh, you might now. I'll send us the link to him with this interview.
Since Garrett picked a billionaire, I think it's Kenny Dillingham for me. We'd never met him before. I'd always been an admirer of his work. And I don't know. I love the way he thinks about football and recruiting, and he's a young guy who has new ideas, which is what it's going to take to make it in this new, he's not one of these. I think that the era of the big personality coach that I do it this way and this is the only way I do it has got to go away because the rules do not benefit them anymore to do that. You can be like, this is what we're going to do at Big Coach University, and you're like, yeah, but now the rules keep changing and you can't just steamroll your way through some things. So I'm very impressed to hear how he looks at building a roster, how he looks at building a culture, why he feels like he's different when it comes to coaching quarterbacks. He was the most impressive person to me.
We didn't talk to a lot of players because that's where my mind would go, but we did talk to one or two, and Chase Roberts of BYU is a very impressive young man.
Yep.
And I'm not, going to sit there and kiss BYU's ass for the sake of it, but I do think that everybody we've talked to from BYU has been ultra impressive. Going back 2-3 years now.
Was it Batty last year at
Tyler Batty? Was fantastic interview. Yeah. The young man, the receiver, whose name I'm forgetting. We interviewed him.
Cody Epps.
Yeah, Cody Epps,
a couple of years ago.
Fantastic interview. Chase Roberts, fantastic interview. They all are good. And so Chase Roberts, I'll say him because we didn't interview a lot of players. We maybe interviewed 3 or 4, maybe.
Well, we had 2 or 3. Well, Josh Cameron, Sawyer Robertson.
Right. The other guy I'd say would be Josh Cameron is always very impressive. But for the sake of not going, the coaches wise, it's hard to just pick a guy. Kalani Sitake's always really good though. Again, going back to BYU, they are just fun guys to interview because they're just very good at it. So Chase Roberts just for a little bit of a different answer because we didn't interview a lot of players, but I really enjoyed talking to all of the coaches. I think they're all unique in their own way, and Kyle Whittingham's different to talk to than a Kenny Dillingham or definitely a Dave Aranda or so on. But that's kind of what makes it fun is there's such a collection of different personalities and all just really great coaches. But that'd be my answer.
Paxton said, and Kim, who was there, mentioned that the Scott Satterfield interview I thought he was extremely positive, but not in any kind of like trying to snow us a little bit. I thought he was just solid. I thought he had that edge to him like Neil Brown had a couple of years ago when he was at West Virginia and they were picked near the bottom of the league.
I mean, Rich Rod, you definitely get that like kind of BS with him for sure. Your BS detector kind of goes off a little bit, but not in like a necessarily a bad way.
Yep. In
an entertaining way. And so Rich Rod was really interesting to talk to for the first time. But yeah, I mean, you're right there. And it's a fun event to kind of, when you sit back and realize how many people we talked to, it's kind of, you have to kind of sit and think about it because it was so many. But Cody Campbell was awesome to talk to. Kenny Dillingham for the very first time. Josh Cameron, Sawyer Robertson.
I thought Kyle Visser. I thought Gundy and Prime were your best interviews.
Yeah, those two and Matt Campbell.
Yeah.
Those were our three best interviews of the week.
Oh my goodness, that Kyle Visser's kind of got a little full of himself here today. Appreciate the comment. No, I get it. To throw them in there. Frost edge a little uneasy. By the way, I always send a card to anyone we get on as a coach, and I sent one. And again, I know that it ended up being kind of an awkward day for him, and even a lot of the national publicity around it. But I don't think anyone was bad. I don't think anyone. He was just a little bit awkward.
You could tell he was a little bit beaten down by a lot of this stuff, or
my God, what did he expect?
Yeah, and so I mean, it was different, but again, we'll see how he does. Like, his job isn't to just do interviews with us.
Well, I mean,
if that was it, they would have
It's not his job, but it is his job.
No, but I mean, like, that's the only
that.
part of his job.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, if that was the only part of his job, if Big 12 Media Days was what determined the playoff participant, Scott Frost would have probably not done it. But
did he do us after he was grilled?
No, before.
Okay. Well, that good Lord, it might have been even more, a little bit more edgy than that.
So,
as far as the players, the BYU guys are always incredible. They really, really are. And then, of course, the 12 coaches we had on, we appreciated. Who would you want to go have a beer with if, in fact, you drank beer, or just anything?
Rich Rodriguez. What are you talking about? I know that, like, after a couple, I'm not paying for any more with him. And I mean, he's the one who said, "Go Mountaineers, drink beers."
Yeah,
so,
he did.
I mean, I mean, that's.
He goes, I don't know what they do anymore, but if we win a big game, we're going to burn the couches.
Yeah, because we beat Pitt. I think he said, if we beat Pitt, I'm burning the couch.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Jim Williams, who's a part of Forbes, Newsweek, and also Athlon's magazine, a contributor, also consultant when it comes to television. He's one of our guys that, man, when all that hell was breaking loose in 2021 with Texas and Oklahoma, and then the next wave, Jim Williams, Bob Thompson, we have stated Patrick Crakes. Jim Williams joins us next. This is 365 Sports.
Allen Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Allen Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Want to send a message to the show? Jump in the Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue chat room.
If you have not seen the first poll that Andrew Valade put out, who had the best cameo in Happy Gilmore 2? Scotty Scheffler, Travis Kelce, Bad Bunny, and John Daly. And so that was the poll that he put out earlier in the show.
But I will tell you this. Craig and I talked about Bad Bunny on Friday a little bit. He's kind of good at everything he does. Like Craig talked about him, like, you know, he wrestled and was in Puerto Rico where they were. Or
they did a show in Puerto Rico like over a year ago, a special show, and he was in the big main events against one of their regular guys, Damian Priest, and he did an excellent job. Crowd went nuts for him, and actually in the ring, like whenever they do like a no DQ thing, it's to help cover up the fact because you need to it's part of the Hollywood effect of let's give him weapons to cover up for the fact he can't do like a toe hold and like drop down and do all that kind of stuff. But no, he definitely put the work in, and he came across better than a lot of other celebrities I've seen try to make that jump over for sure. Yeah. And but he's very funny in the movie, and and I knew this from when he was on SNL, and actually a couple of the other movies he's been in, he's got really good comic timing, which is something a lot of times, and I can tell you from seeing almost every single Adam Sandler movie, save for maybe like 2 or 3, that sometimes he gets cameos and puts people in there, and you can tell it took them the whole day of shooting to get the right beats from this person to make it funny. But Bad Bunny is he's just a natural performer. And so he understood the assignment. He was quite funny.
When I asked that question or that poll, what did I do when I got to Bad Bunny?
You paused.
I went to Google.
Yeah.
I went to Google.
He's a musician.
I had a feeling he was probably a rapper.
I mean, about a year ago, he was probably the most famous musician in the world outside of Taylor Swift. I mean, as far as like hot, popular musician, his tour and him going around, he was probably like the hottest name that you heard out there for a good long while. And then Taylor Swift dropped her latest, and then she took some of that. And there's been other artists, obviously, that have been getting a lot of attention. But worldwide, Spanish-speaking, not even close. Like he was like the hottest name in music there, and still is one of them. But yeah, he's very talented. I think we're going to see him in a lot of movies in the future and a lot of different outside of music projects. I enjoy him. I knew a little bit of his music, and then when he came over into the wrestling, I was like, I don't know. I've seen so many people that are just like lame as hell or not very good at it. Travis Scott checking both those boxes. But Bad Bunny was the opposite. He was actually a rapper that came across really well in all regards. So I wouldn't mind seeing him again. I want to see him like all the time, but in like a special appearance here and there. Yeah. Bring him back. He was great.
All right. So there we are with Bad Bunny. Can you name a song?
Chamba.
I'm just
Paul's like, thank God Craig said something.
Thank you. Yeah. No, I mean, like I've heard him. He's not on my iPod.
And
but,
so he got the nickname because he dressed up in a bunny outfit when he was a kid. Is that right?
Yes, Wikipedia. That's true.
Yeah. Smokey, he was actually
Chambea. Sorry, Chamba. I said Chambea. Chambea is what I meant.
he was actually in a movie that I love and you hate, Bullet Train. But he's only in it for like,
how do you love that?
8 months. It's fun. It's a good movie. It's a fun movie. It's a good action movie. He's only in it for a few minutes before he gets killed by Brad Pitt. But when I went to see the movie, there were two girls sitting next to me in the theater that were just there to see Bad Bunny. And then when they realized that, like, no, this is a Brad Pitt movie that Bad Bunny happens to be in for a minute, they were so mad. Like I don't know what they thought that they were coming into. Like, oh, this is going to be a movie about Bad Bunny. No, he's just another assassin who's going to get nicked in this thing, and that's what happened.
All right, so there we are with that. Waiting on Jim Williams. We'll get to that in just a moment on 365 Sports. Question for you: the college football season starts in what, 3 weeks or so? Is that Kansas State, Iowa State up in Dublin, Ohio, and the Big 12.
Ireland.
I did that again. Dublin, Ireland. I've said Dublin, Ohio many times when it comes to golf coverage. Dublin, Ireland. What country would you like to see college football get into that has not hosted a college football game? I saw this, and I'll bring this up, and I wrote this down in my notes. There's, Michigan is looking at a game in another country, and people are like, man, are you kidding me? Can we just not try to overexpand? But the NFL's done it. The NBA's done it. I don't know about how much you could do that in college football, playing a game in Mexico or Canada, or in this case in Dublin, Ireland. What country would you like to see college football go to if they opened up the season somewhere else?
Well, Michigan's going to Germany. I don't know, like,
I'll tell you, the United States of America is where I want to see college football played.
Yeah.
No offense to all those other countries, but the NFL did it, so we'll do it too. See, basically what college football is doing now is what every other business in America has done. It's like, well, we've tapped our reserves here. Where can we go get more? The rest of the world, and let's go global, and let's get what we can there. And so that's all it is more of a money grab. And yes, it's trying to grow your audience as well. But I am sick and tired of, well, the NFL does it, so college football should do it. Well, the NFL does it, so college football should do it. The NFL does, like, I get they're doing everything in their power, especially at the top, to try to be the NFL now. But that doesn't mean you have to be just like the NFL in all ways. And so Brett Yormark said, how about we go play some baseball games down in Mexico or play some basketball games down in Mexico? I'm not opposed to going and playing overseas. I think there is some merit to it. I think there is some talent that eventually, not immediately, but eventually you can pull from that. There's a fan base maybe you can grow slowly, but I'm not looking or rooting for them to go play any game anywhere outside of at their home stadium for whoever the home team is. That's my personal answer.
And Patrick Cheney, Exactly Dragon. Craig's nickname, Exactly Dragon. Right on with you, Craig. Keep it in the United States from General Ursus. And then
outside
there's a couple of other countries.
Outside of going more into the UK, like in London or something like that, I don't know. There's countries that like football enough yet to do it and like it enough at the college level where we're the only country in the world who does college sports.
They don't even understand what we do. They don't even know how it's legal what we're doing, quite frankly. Like all of our guys who are 16, 17, 18 are like in soccer academies.
Yeah.
Like that's what they're doing. They're getting paid
or
too.
Tennis or golf. Yeah.
And so the whole concept of like college sports is foreign to some people overseas to begin with. But yeah, not against trying to grow the brand and all of that, but I think the NBA or the NFL is a different animal than college football. I mean, college football is exclusively, for the most part, so you know what I'm getting at. It's because I'm thinking like, well, Canada's got some college football, so it's not exclusively exclusive, but it's pretty much an American thing. And so the NFL is one monster, but you don't have to follow in their footsteps. And look, like I said, Yormark bringing up doing baseball or basketball down in Mexico. I see where you're going with it, but
yeah, that was.
I don't want to see Houston, Kansas, and Mexico City.
Yeah, that
crowd. Quite frankly, they don't deserve that game. You know who deserves it is the Kansas fans or the Houston fans, whoever it falls on, to host that game at that time and taking it away to go play it somewhere where they may be interested in, that they think is just not necessarily great for the fans who already support you and for the sport itself. So that's where I am. I mean, I'm all for being creative, but I'm not trying to find them more places to play that's not where they already are.
Yeah, from S. Michael DeHart, all of the Irish whiskey made makes it a natural rivalry.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what he's getting at there, but sure.
Which rivalry?
It makes it for a fun game for Iowa State and Kansas State fans, I guess. But yeah, I don't know what you're getting at outside of that.
And look, the people in Ireland clearly have enjoyed it. The times it's done, the people like to go. That's fine, but it's not. It's just. I don't think neutral site games. The NFL actually does know this outside of their Europe games. Regular season neutral site games are good for college football, and they have too many neutral site games in the postseason as well. You know, a lot of too many of those now that we have the playoffs. So I'd rather see more games on college campus just because that's what makes college football unique among American sport.
Yeah, I do think the international part of it, I get the pro sports doing that. And even then, I think you could overextend yourself a little bit. I think you do. S. Michael DeHart was talking about something completely different, and I just picked up the second part of what he was discussing. This is from Jayhawk Champ. I prefer playing week 0 in our brand new stadium. It's now week 1, by the way. They're not calling it week 0. Texas high school football did that. Never made sense. But I get it. If you have a new stadium opening, I think that next year, that's where the year it opens or changes or renovated, I think that's where you want to play your opening
Week
game.
0's not over. Week 0's still a thing
For this year.
Yeah.
They're moving it to week 1 in the future.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I thought you were saying that didn't exist. No, it's still.
I've never understood it. If it's a week 0, that means it doesn't exist. 0's nothing.
Yes.
It's a no number. I know it's a number, but it means 0. It means how can you play week 0? Not sure why they didn't check with the Texas high school football coaches on that particular deal. Is Jim not available?
He had jumped in.
That's interesting because he's usually early. So let's see. Michael DeHart. In 2026, North Carolina TCU should swap out West Virginia for TCU. The Irish migrated into the West Virginia and North Carolina mountains in the 1700s. Oh, there's a little history. I didn't know that. Yeah. I didn't know that. From Keelani.
Well, where didn't the Irish immigrate?
Yeah, that's exactly right. People of Ireland aren't going to games except maybe the Notre Dame one. Vast majority are Americans who flew over, which is why the games are sponsored by the host nation's tourism board.
Yeah, I think it's the thousands of people that are there. Majority probably made up of, you're going to have your Iowa State contingent that sees the opportunity for a fun trip, and same thing with the K-State fans and all the teams that have come before them. I haven't really kept track of that game in years past, but I'm sure you've got your locals that'll be interested in just something unique coming to town. So let's go check this American college football thing out. But I think you're pretty much just taking all your fans that would have showed up in droves here and just making them go to Europe to go watch the game. They would have showed up and sold out in Ames or Manhattan. So there is the trip that's the unique part of it that's fun. But I think it's still mostly the same fans when all is said and done.
When I was a kid, we were flying back from Japan to the United States in 1976. We flew back to Hawaii, and I watched an international college. It was an all-star game, the Hula Bowl. But that's pro. It's college players, but in a pro setting to get ready for the draft. Jim Williams now joins us on 365 Sports. Jim, great to have you on the show. What are your thoughts? What did the Memphis, I guess, offer really mean in the end? Maybe not so much for now, which is a no, but how does that maybe stir the pot for the future?
Well, I think that, this whole thing got started with SMU, right? And how they got into the ACC. I think the Memphis, I applaud Memphis for doing, whatever they could to get in. But, at the end of the day, as you guys broke down quite well, the day of, that it really boiled down to about $2 million per institution, which at that point in time just didn't make any sense. I don't think there's going to be any movement anywhere until they get much closer to the contract time. And so this is not the time to pull what Memphis did. I mean, it was a great idea, but, it landed, it didn't land well, I guess would be the best way of putting it.
Jim, the day that happened, I reached out to a few people in some ways attached to the Big 12, and it seemed like their same problems from 4, 5, 6, 8 years ago are still their problems today. Is that correct at Memphis?
Look, at the risk, I don't want to offend any people in Memphis. But that being said, look, the market is they're losing market. Okay, from a standpoint of the city of Memphis. If you've been to Tennessee, you know that it's a great city, but Nashville has become the hot town in Tennessee, and Memphis is doing a wonderful job. They're doing the best thing they can, but none of the things that you need, meaning the football stadium and the basketball arena, are on campus. And there's a lot. I mean, guys, you guys have one of the best shows and covering all of college, right? So
Thank you.
when you go down the list of what schools are going to be available or potentially available, you can be very choosy. And right now, I think that Brent Muirmark and the Big 12, as well as the ACC, obviously the Big 10 and the SEC, really just want to sit back and go, you know what? Let's let things settle down for a while. Let's see what we've got here, and let's see what happens in the next 3 to 5 years. They really. I mean, I spoke to people at the Big 10. I spoke to people at the SEC. I mean, they're just getting ready. They're literally just trying to consider, year 2, year 3 of how these, new partners, can be scheduled in. So, I mean, they're still into that routine. And so to add yet another team to a conference at this point in time, it's more trouble than it's worth.
So when you see, and of course, talking to the people that we talked to last week, the UNC things pop back up again.
Sure.
Last week, even though that there's nothing that they're going to do until 2030 and 2031.
Sure.
Do you feel like these rumors are getting started or kicked back up because UNC feels like under the new leadership they want to put themselves out there? Because again, if it's 5 years from now, I don't know why you'd have to say it today.
You don't. But I think that everybody wants to act relevant, right, Paul? I mean, at the end of the day, this is a campaign. This is almost like a political campaign. Okay. I've seen people, God love y'all. I know y'all on Twitter there, boys and girls, have proposed 20-team leagues, 24-team leagues. If you think about that, right, for a minute, 48 teams. There's the 48 teams that you would have if you were to add, the Big 10 and the SEC would add, to that point. What happens to the rest? I mean, the value of the rest plummets quickly. And what I've got a story coming out this week about this, the changing of who the players are going to be in investing in college sports and sports in general 5 years from now and down the line. I mean, Apple, Netflix, Amazon, YouTube, their core business is not programming television, but they got way more money to spend than does linear broadcasters. Now, linear broadcasters, they're never going to go away, okay? But when you look at Apple, for instance, has $17 billion that they're investing this year alone on programming. If you look at Fox, and there's others, and as I say, I'll send you guys the story in the middle of the week when it's finished. But if you look at Fox, Fox is at this point almost 50% of the programming budget, not the sports programming budget, but the entire budget is being spent on sports. Is that sustainable? And I think that's where we go. Is it sustainable for CBS? Is it sustainable for NBC? Even ESPN, who's going to launch this $30, experiment coming up soon. you got to wonder. And right now, 18 to 34 viewers, only 77% of that group do not have any cable subscription at all. And as we've always said, in whether it's broadcast or politics, demographics are destiny. If these people are not, there, then where are they? And they're streaming different shows. They're doing what they like. The one thing that is so good about sports is it's appointment television. It's the only appointment television we have anymore. If I want to watch, I don't know, Will Trent or one of the shows on television that's on ABC, I don't have to watch it at 8:00 on a Tuesday night. I can watch it whenever I want to on Hulu. All right. But if I want to watch Baylor take on Texas Tech, that game is going to be on at noon, or it's going to be on at 3:00, or it's going to be a prime time. That I got to watch it during that time period. So appointment television for sports is good, and maybe the paradigm for Fox, because they use baseball during the summertime as a programming. They use college basketball in the wintertime during that season. It's going to sound silly, but it's cheaper than putting on, say, a scripted television show. So the fact that they're putting money 50% into programming, overall programming, is okay with them. It seems to be, but they don't have a streaming partner. They do for the primetime programming that goes to Hulu, but they don't have a service yet.
Jim, when it comes to, I saw some of the conversation when ever this gets kicked up, everyone wants to know where their school goes, right? And so you had Utah fans that were claiming they're going to the Big Ten, and then there was Kansas fans, and we're going to the Big Ten. But one team that seemed interesting, and they're maybe they do one day. Who the hell knows, really? But it seems like Arizona State's taken a large step up in the world over the last year. Would you agree with that? Just with that Big 12 championship, and I know it's got to be more than just winning a game here and there, but it just seems like if there was a team that has completely 180'd the way they were being talked about maybe a year or two ago, like they were the afterthought of the pack editions. It was like, oh, we got Arizona basketball and we got Utah football, and Arizona State's, that's a cool city. It's got potential. And now you look at them, you're like, potential? They got a world of potential, don't they?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, you know what we need to do? We need to push for a major conference to take ASU, and then we all need to go to Bob Thompson's house and stay there and go watch games, right? So, I mean, I'm up for that.
There you go.
Any trip to Tempe, Arizona is not a bad trip. No, look, academically they're there. The sports side, you got to love what they're doing down there. They are, look, they're big. I mean, I put up on Twitter, and of course, anytime you put up something having to do with Utah, BYU, or whatever, the world comes to an end, because everybody's passionate about. I mean, look, we're all passionate about the schools that we support. But anyway, the Utah aspect and the if you take Utah and you take ASU, they're both incredibly attractive. What might be, and I this is pure speculation on my part, it's not me knowing this, the question would be, to me, would the LA schools, if it was a Big Ten, because it makes no sense for the SEC to add them, if the Big Ten chose to go, all right, let's go to Arizona, is that going to be a problem for USC, UCLA, and could they muster enough votes to keep them blocked? I don't know, but that would be my only concern. The possibility of the Utah thing, and the person I spoke to when we talked about this was talking about, it's a mountain time zone, which they don't have, but it's also a bridge. If you're coming from Nebraska to to Washington, you can stop, play a game in Utah, go over, fly over there. You know, it's kind of like the kind of an area there. That does not mean they're, boosted to the top. It means they remain in the conversation. And the other thing, guys, is this: how much? There's not an endless amount of money out there. Okay, so how many more people are going to be added to these two conferences, right? How many more people are going to come to the Big Ten and to the SEC? Because just because they're coming doesn't mean that TV executives are going to fork over, a lot more money, which is where the streaming services will come in. So, we have to be careful in what we think. It's fun to speculate to put 6 more teams in each of these conferences, but it's not realistic. I mean, I would be stunned if either the SEC or the Big Ten took any more than 2 more teams.
Jim, it just seems so clunky, and they don't, like, when it comes to the NCAA tournament, I said this earlier in the show, it comes to the playoff, they don't know how to enhance their product without shoving more stuff into it.
Right.
And there's got to be different ways to enhance what you have that's already good. Right. But that's kind of the thing that's like, all right, we'll just make it this. And when it's 16 after 5 years, they're going to be like, you know what? That Eli Drinkwitz plan of 30 teams, that's what we're going to do. Like, that makes more sense. And then it gets so big when, for example, with basketball, they have it's as close to perfect as it can be now because of the 68. But when they added 64, it was perfectly beautiful.
Right.
And they didn't need to mess with it, but they just can't help themselves.
That's a good point. What, in essence, might be a solution would be to go to the NFL type model where you have 4 divisions and you basically break it up into a super, I don't want to say super conference because it's not really true. It would be, put together regions. And the silliness of all that is all these people who have moved all the way across country
exactly
would have to go back to their, basically back to where they were. But I mean, look, guys, you do this every day and a damn good job of it. But even though we may be rooting for one or another team to get into one of these 2 conferences, I don't see the added value of putting more. More is not necessarily better. More is just more. And, you're still feeding. If, let's say you go into the big, okay, here I'm going to get myself in trouble with other schools, but if you go to the SEC, you're still going to have Vanderbilt. Okay. You're still going to have, Kentucky. You're going to have teams that from a football standpoint have just not pulled their weight. Right. Same thing in the Big Ten. It's just more is not just necessarily good. It's just more. You may be able to get a couple of brands from the ACC and maybe a brand or 2 from the Big 12 or whatever. But at the end of the day, does it make it better?
Can you ever see? You mentioned the 4 divisions, and we've discussed Super League, whatever that. But if they do a Super League, is it possible that someone, let's just say, some of the schools from the Big 12, could they ever be left out and Vanderbilt remains in?
I
can't imagine that.
No,
I can't imagine that.
I think that it would be, we would have a refiguring of it, right? So in a Super League, you're not a conference, right? And that's where I think the key is. If you're adding to the Big Ten conference and if you're adding to the SEC conference, then the teams that are in there that are not necessarily ratings happy from that standpoint are still making a lot more money, but they're not generating any particular eyeballs. If on the other hand you're picking this NFL style concept, then the only way to make it work is to take the teams that are worthy, or at least whomever chooses to pick that situation of worthy, you add them to that. So who are the maybe 10 best teams in the West, and who are the 10 best teams in this, in the Central and the Northeast and the South, right? And so you build to that conference. So what you would be doing is eliminating some of the universities that are not, competitive, and you're adding universities that are, and that would take the conference away from it and put it into a league where, again, it would be. I mean, we're right now with what is it, the deal with Congress with the $20.1 million, then the NIL.
Revenue sharing.
Yeah, you got the revenue sharing, you got the NIL money. You're professional league right now. So there's that. The other way you could do it, and I don't know that ever would happen, but you could do it in a way like English Premier League soccer, where you get relegated if you fall out from a specific situation from that standpoint. But those are, I don't know. I don't see where the big two at this point, adding more than maybe a couple each, makes any value to. I mean, does adding 5 more teams do anything more than, to your conference? You only have a certain amount of games. So, I don't know. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I just don't see the SEC or the Big Ten adding more mouths to feed when they're finding out. And I'll tell you, I've spoken to athletic directors, in Maryland and Rutgers, Penn State, all of these areas, and they're like, guys, they're still trying to figure out how, their softball team's going to play, softball, because the Olympic sports, that $20+ million in the NIL, very little of that goes to the Olympic sports. So they're not on planes flying first class, or charter. They're trying to figure out how to get from one coast to the other coast and make it work. So they haven't figured it out. The Big Ten and the SEC have not figured out yet logistically how to get from point A to point B.
All right, we have to go. We appreciate your time. Yeah. Did you, of everybody in the Big 12, is there one school that no matter what happens in the future, Super League or not, that will not be left out, or are all of them in danger of being left out?
You're leaving me with that question, David. I love you. Okay.
I love you too, man.
All right. Who could you get left out?
Is there one team that will not? I mean, you got what Texas Tech is doing, and the schools in the Midwest, and the private schools, and Arizona State, Utah, BYU. They all seem to have something that is of value. Is there one? If one school was to make it, and all the other ones fell overboard, who would that be?
TCU, maybe.
TCU would be the one that stayed.
Maybe.
Okay. All right.
Because I Baylor's got their backers. Not that TCU doesn't, but I think that that they're in a situation where they're in a market where you already have a market.
So you're talking about they would be the one thrown overboard.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, man. Appreciate it as always. We'll have you on again. Circle back around with it. Great to have you. Jim Williams, Forbes, Athlons, also Newsweek, and of course, for years and years involved in network television and much, much more. When we come back, G.J. Kinne, Texas State, Phil Bennett around the corner. I just texted him. He'll join us about 5:10. This is 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. Right now, they have the 2025 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid Premium S, an incredible $9,000 off MSRP. Get up to 82 miles per gallon, cutting-edge technology, room for the entire crew, all wrapped up in premium comfort. It's the smarter way to travel, the perfect time to upgrade for the summer as it's starting to close down and you're getting close to when school begins. How about this one? How about the 2025 Ram ProMaster, available now, best-in-class capability, advanced technology, budget and upfit options available if you want to upgrade. It's a van that works on, well, as hard as you want it to work at Allen Samuels right now. Finally, there's this one. There's a lot of different deals it offers. Third at $43,864 for just under $44,000. The 2024 Ram 2500, built to haul, tow, conquer the world for you and your family, your ranch or business at Allen Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, let Automatic Chef tailor a break room solution to your needs. Make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Penny Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help us finally hear semaglutide. Affordable, highly effective. Google search Penny Clinic Waco and reach out to the Penny Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Penny to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pennycliniclowt.com.
This is 365 Sports. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
State football coach G.J. Kinne looks like he just maybe went hunting or about to. And then Paul Catalina. I'm David Smoak, 365 Sports. Hey, let me ask you this. With all of what is swirling in college athletics, how excited are you to get on the field? I know you've been doing off-season stuff, but get on the field, practice, and get better and just be a part of football.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I've probably had that feeling since I was in Nantucket over the break and enjoying but about towards the end of vacation, you kind of start getting that itch. Like, all right, let's get on the field. I'm ready to get back around the guys. Let's go, like you said, let's go practice. Let's get better. And I think I said that at the media day at the Texas High School convention is like we're gonna need all these reps. We need every fall practice. We need every walkthrough, every meeting, because we have a bunch of new guys, new faces, but that's exciting. I'm really excited about what we got going this year.
Well, since we've last talked to you, Coach, you are headed to a new conference next year in the Pac-12. What is that feeling like of excitement? And how have you seen it change how Texas State is known and perceived in the football community?
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think President Danfus and Don Coryell did an unbelievable job, and the leadership and the vision they've had to get us to a conference like that, and that was good for the summer and all that. But obviously, we're concentrating now on fall practice and getting ready for this season, last year in the Sun Belt. But it's definitely exciting. I think recruiting has seen a little bit of momentum swing as far as that goes, and being able to talk about the pack and all that kind of good stuff. So it's definitely exciting and definitely a momentum changer for sure.
We've had this game before, Paul and Craig, back even a year ago when all the conference realignment was going on. Name everybody in the Big Ten. Name everybody, and it's hard. I mean, Can you name everybody even in your current conference, much less who's going to be in the pack?
Yeah, definitely can name everyone in the Sun Belt. The pack, I might need a little bit of work. Just start naming some state schools out west, and you'll be all right.
That's exactly right. That's exactly. TJ Kinne with us on 365 Sports. Paul?
So as you approach getting into camp and all those things, the way that it starts every year is very different than when you came up. You had your 85 guys and your walk-ons and all of these things that you knew their history and all these things. And now you're always going to have a bunch of players, whether it's like 60 new players, 20 new players, 10, depending on it. What is the challenge for you in making sure that, you can set them on the path to building chemistry, knowing that the players have to build with each other and there's only so much a coach can do?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this. It's funny you brought it up. Last week you kind of start getting your thoughts ready for fall camp and all that as the summer goes. But we've really been operating this space since I've been here, so I feel like we have a little bit maybe an advantage just because of the experience. We since really UIW, we brought in a whole bunch of new faces that year, and then obviously at Texas State, us and Colorado, I think we're the top two, and we've just kind of continued that, and not necessarily by choice. Sometimes it's just the landscape of college football now. So I do feel like we have a little bit an advantage, and some just because of the experience factor, because we've been operating like this since I've been at Texas State.
DJ, I'll never forget when I asked you about Ashton Hawkins left your place for Baylor, and you told me that broke your heart. I hope you don't mind me sharing that, because you really love the kid, and now he's going through a eligibility issue. But that's not what I'm asking you about. I'm just asking you about the emotional part. Can you become too attached to anybody anymore?
No, I think you can. I'm never that's my special power. That's my special sauce. The relationship part of it. I love these kids, and I'm always going to get them to stay if it's the best thing for all parties, and do whatever I can possible to accomplish that. And I'm always going to pour into these guys and have those relationships, just because that's just the way I'm wired. I couldn't do it any other way. I've been around coaches that maybe aren't wired like that, and it's just not me. And that's one thing I'm always going to do is be myself, and I'm not going to let any outside circumstance change that.
That is the probably the biggest challenge, though, right? Of being emotionally connected. Now, I would say that most coaches are more like you than the opposite, that are just jaded, kind of, what cog in this machine can I make? Do you have to coach yourself up on, not getting too emotional when it comes down to those roster decisions that players are making for themselves?
Yeah, I think it's probably the other way, not necessarily the guys necessarily leaving, but, maybe a guy that was on the roster before, or he's a good player but doesn't necessarily fit your scheme, and you want him to have the ability to go play somewhere and have that great college experience, and that's one good thing I think about the portal, is having the ability for those guys that, hey, maybe it's not the greatest fit, maybe it's not the bet, you have a coaching change or a scheme change, not necessarily us, just around the country, and that guy doesn't fit your your system, and they have the ability to move on, and nothing against the kid, he might be a great player, just not necessary for you.
DJ, one more thing about the portal and also all of what's going on in the settlement. You hear about tampering. You have had players who have been tampered with. How come no one will actually come out? Although I saw the story the other day where somebody actually brought up another school. Is it almost like you don't steal signs in baseball as an unwritten rule? Do you think we'll start seeing more of people saying, no, they came after our guys before they were leaving?
I think maybe 3 years ago, if that trend would have continued, but I think a lot of times now it's going through these third parties, the agents and the, all that kind of good stuff. So I think that's probably the main reason is obviously, there was during the middle of the season last year, we had guys talking about this school and that school and possibly redshirting or going into the portal because of it. And I think hopefully, that becomes something that changes throughout the landscape and the NCAA, rules change, but it is the way it is right now. And so it kind of goes back to just that relationship part and doing everything you can to pour into these kids and hopefully they want to stay.
You got 3 quarterbacks out of the portal this year, if I'm correct. Have you settled on a guy yet, or are you still going in this week in practice with it wide open?
Yeah, it's definitely wide open, and we got a couple of guys that can play, and we're going to let it play out in fall camp. Obviously, you got to kind of start narrowing that thing down as the first game approaches, and just because of the reps, not necessarily because maybe one's pulling away from the other, or two of them are kind of neck and neck, but you kind of have to go with what you think is best for your team and the guy that goes out there and makes the best decisions, and start getting that guy ready for game day.
Fran Brown and Deion mentioned that back during the spring about having a scrimmage. And I've always wondered, I remember I've asked coaches before about why don't you have intra-squad scrimmages even during the fall? I know injuries and I know all the whatever, the travel, but would that be good like you had in high school football? You experienced that.
With another school or with your own?
Yeah,
team?
with another school. Like let's say Texas State was maybe it's Baylor. I don't know. I'm just saying, would that not be, if you set it up right, healthy and good?
Yeah, I think, I do like the thought of maybe a spring. I think that might be good, especially if they change it to one portal window in January.
Yeah.
Like the coaches want. I think that would be a really good thing because of, like you said, you go out there and kind of see exactly what you have and can go. The fall, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I know the NFL, you have preseason games and, maybe you go practice versus another team. I would probably like that more, kind of like what you said, not necessarily maybe a spring game type atmosphere, but maybe, hey, we go over to Waco and we have 2 days where we practice versus those guys and you do some inter squad scrimmaging and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that would be a good situation. And look, injuries are part of it, but at the same time, you got to get your guys ready.
Smoak and I've been at Cowboys camp 100 times, and one of the things that I only got to see like 2 of them when they practice with the Rams, but it's like a nice change of pace for the players. You experienced it when you were in the league. Exactly. It's just a nice change of pace where you can actually feel like, oh, I can go take a swing at this guy, or I can get riled up, and I don't have to walk back into the same locker room and have that awkward moment of like, hey, sorry, it's the heat of the moment kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly right. And it is a cool deal, and it just changes the pace up a little bit. Guys, tend to lock in a little bit more, and obviously at that level, you're fighting for a roster spot and all that. So there's a little bit more at stake. But it's definitely a good deal. I remember when versus the Ravens, Coach Kinne actually got thrown out of practice. Chip Kelly threw me out. I was playing receiver at the time, and you get back there as a red zone period, and the East Texas came out a little bit.
Hey, Beast Texas, baby, don't mess.
Yeah.
Am I right? You had a different offensive coordinator every year from high school through college.
Yeah, exactly right. It had some good ones though.
No, you did. You really, really did, and you still improved. You got better, and some people could use that as an excuse. Does that help how you make sure you keep your coaching staff intact, other than someone getting obviously a promotion somewhere else?
Yeah, I think that definitely helped me. Just the different, views and thoughts, different coaches have, the way they see the game. But, as far as going back to keeping your own coaches intact, I think, just treating them right and being a good person. And now, obviously, I think talking about going back to the pack, I think financially that's going to be able to help us be able to keep some more coaches as well. So that all that goes into it for sure. And I think too, you got to groom those young guys, even if they're not young, those analysts and the quality controls and, your quarterback coaches and they're in evaluation mode too every day. And just like this year, we promoted Landon Keppel that, when Coach Leftwich left, he'd been with me since Hawaii to UIW. He's been with me now for a couple years. Dexter McCool, our defensive coordinator, is the same deal. And especially on offense, those guys that I've been able to groom and be under, and they know the system. I think it just, you always want to start there, and if they're the best person, then let's do it. But sometimes you might have to go outside, but hopefully not.
You when you see a young coach like that, how much of yourself do you see in that moment, even though the histories might have been different? They might not have come up the same way you did of playing at the higher levels or doing all that. But can you see it like a scout? Can you be like, oh, this kid's got it? Yeah, and I think that's probably, going back to Coach Todd Graham and my dad. I think that's some of the best things that one of my strong suits is not just the evaluation of the player, but the evaluation of the coach. And you kind of look at the guys that we've had, whether it's Mac Leftwich, Jonathan Packey, and some of those guys that are now big time, college coaches and all that. They were at UIW a couple of years ago, and we have a couple on staff right now. Smoak, Dane Evans. He was a quarterback at Tulsa, and he played in the NFL for a training camp, then went to the CFL and was a starter there in the CFL, and did some really good things over there. Got into coaching, was a high school coach a year ago, but it was always someone that was kind of on my radar that, if this guy could, get in the right system and the right opportunity, I think he could be a big time coach. And he's been with us now all spring, and definitely one that'll probably be a future offensive coordinator here pretty soon.
With your father earlier today, now at Vernon High School, and as you mentioned, they got better last year, his first year on staff, and All-American at Baylor. What was the one piece of advice or maybe something he said to you once you became obviously locked into being a coach?
I really just kind of grew up in it with being around my dad. You kind of take that for granted. I remember when we were in Little League picking all-star teams, and I was a part of that process. That's something that we always did, whether it was Little League or high school at Canton, putting together rosters and, hey, let's move this guy to linebacker. Let's move this guy from outside receiver to inside receiver. Let's move this guy from, defensive end to center. We've always had those conversations, over the dinner table. And obviously there's a lot of things that he taught me, but I think probably the biggest one is just the constant, evaluation of everything and the constant roster management and where to put guys to go out there and succeed on game day.
How much did playing high school football in East Texas prepare you for the atmospheres that you faced along the way? Because there's very few places in the country, I mean, here in Texas, but particularly in East Texas, where it doesn't matter how big the school is, the game's intense. Yeah. That you have that maybe psychological edge going in that when you got to college, you're like, well, this is kind of how it was all the time, just maybe a little bit bigger.
Yeah, I think especially for me, it was probably a little amplified with my dad being a coach and going to Canton and then transferring to Gilmer and all that went on with that. I mean, we played Bishop Gorman week 1. I mean, that was a huge game at Tyler Rose. And, we talk about the playoff games and all Smoky teams. I mean, there's a lot on the line, back in the day in East Texas. And it was just a great time. And it really is. I think that's maybe – getting a little bit lost, even with the high school moving around and the transfers and all that. But, East Texas is still, it's still pretty true to, hey, on Friday nights, everyone's, it's the square is shut down and everyone's out on, on Friday night, at the game. So it definitely prepared you, and just everything was bigger for sure.
Your grandfather, Bubba.
Yeah.
He coached you when you were in Pop Warner, and then your dad would come and coach on game days. How much of a memory, I know he's still around, and just how much that meant to you?
Oh man, that was huge, and one of the other things that you just kind of maybe take for granted. But I just had such great coaches at such a young age, and taught me to play the game the right way. I remember, one of my first games is, in tackle, and I was the quarterback, and he would run me about like Kenton ran me back in the day. And so I ran it a couple of times. And I laid there on the field, and he came out to midfield and said, "Stand up." And I said, I can. I'm hurt. And he said, if you're really hurt when you stand up, you'll fall back down. And so that's always that kind of stood with me, is kind of instilling that toughness in me. And he coached us hard. I mean, back even little league, I mean, he was coaching us hard, and maybe some of the parents didn't understand, but I promise you, there's a lot of kids in Mesquite, Texas right now that are living a good life, and instilled a lot of meaningful characteristics in them because of my grandpa.
I want to follow up then. The late hit out of bounds against Oklahoma State, where you were, I'm not out, but you were hurting. And then you still went in, I think, finished the game, and then they said you're not going to play against Boise, and you did, right?
Yeah.
Is that part of what you're talking about?
Yeah. I think it's just, that mental and physical toughness. I think Coach Todd Graham was built, that same way, and something that we worked on in the off season. And it's something that can be coached. It's something that can be taught. And it's the way you train, little everything, you're always going to, have some sniffles or have a sore ankle or a sore shoulder, but just, going out there and fighting for your teammates and fighting for your coaches, it still means something.
DJ Kinne, head coach at Texas State. Paul, let's wrap it up with your last question.
Okay, what is the best sound to you the first day of real, like when you get to strap it on? Do you love that sound of plastic hitting plastic there?
I like that. I like the first go ball when everyone goes crazy and both sides are you catch a long touchdown pass and there's yelling on the offensive side, yelling on the defensive side, the celebration within the offensive group, and then same thing on defense. You get interception and everyone runs to the side, to the end zone and celebrates and all that. I like that. I like the teammates getting excited for the teammates. That's probably my favorite thing.
Eastern Michigan's your opening game, then at UTSA against your buddy Jeff Traylor, and then Arizona State. Well, what a difference in how people look at them this year compared to at this time a year ago.
Yeah, obviously they're a super talented squad, and Coach Dillingham's done an unbelievable job. And the run they went on last year, it was fun to see them kind of go through that Big 12 gauntlet and get into the college football playoff, knowing that we were up 21-7 on them in the second quarter right here at home, and had them kind of right where we wanted them, and for whatever reason couldn't get it done. But you still take pride in knowing that we prepared the right way, we had the guys in the right situation, just got to be able to finish it. And hopefully we go out there and Tempe this season and kind of put up that same performance and have a chance in the fourth quarter. I think a team like that, you got to put yourself in opportunity to win in the fourth.
So many memories covering you in high school, and then of course what you did at Tulsa and the pros as well. GJ, Texas State football coach, we appreciate it very much. Good luck during the workouts, fall workouts, and then the season too.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you. GJ Kinne on 365 Sports. GJ Kinne, Texas State head football coach, and now Phil Bennett. Coach Bennett, I apologize. We're running late, but we're glad to have you, and I know exactly where you're sitting because I had the best trip to go down to play golf and have fun with you. We're putting up pictures of you out in the outdoor kitchen, the pool. My God, Coach, that was a great time. I hope you had as much fun as I did.
Well, I did. You put my old Iowa State pictures up.
Well,
too.
okay.
I was 28 years old coordinator.
I thought you looked like, what is it, Tom Selleck? Isn't that what?
Hey, that guy right there.
Look at that good-looking dude.
That number 51 is named Jeff Braswell. I think he's in the Hall of Fame in Canada. One of the best football players I have ever coached. 5'10", 225, and was a demon.
There you go. Look,
he loves those guys.
The little
Taylor
tiny
Young,
linebackers.
Dat Win, yeah,
absolutely. I'm surprised.
Taylor Young.
Yep.
I'm surprised
that's why I always tell people that old saying. Size is just a thought process. If you can run, you can hit. And he was like Taylor. He was strong. He played strong.
Eddie Lackey.
Yep.
Eddie Lackey.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just like it.
Yeah. Eddie Lackey. I'm surprised you didn't go over to Lubbock just to coach Zach Thomas.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I am a tremendous fan of Zach Thomas. He's one of those guys.
Yeah. I love it when a small linebacker gets the spotlight. I'm lucky enough to become good friends with that win, over the years. But I think about Sam Mills and guys like Dexter Coakley, who played for the Cowboys.
Yep.
Listen, that was Dad and Dexter played together, Paul.
Yeah.
And I was the head coach at SMU. I think I've told you all this story, but me and Coach Parcells really had sort of a clash. He told me one time he wanted me to play in this Cowboy celebrity golf tournament when I was there at SMU. And I told him, I said, man, you've got Dat Win. He hadn't met Dat yet. And I said, you're going to love him. And Larry Lacewell sort of led the drafting of Dat. And Parcells told me, I hate midget linebackers. It pissed me off. And I said, I can't play in your tournament. I said, if you don't like him, then you got a problem.
Do you know the story?
He calls me in a year. He goes, listen, I know I made you mad last year. He goes, I just want to tell you, not only were you right, he said he could play on any team I've ever coached.
Yeah.
The story is great. He had him traded, like the trade was agreed to send Dat to the Saints. They had it agreed to, and he walked in to tell Dat that he was going to trade him, and they were about to pull the trigger, and he looked at him, and he just couldn't do it.
I know it.
He couldn't do it, and
Dat was real close to the family that down in what's their name that owned the team, the owner in San Antonio. He was close to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Benson, is that right?
Yeah, Benson.
Yeah,
that was real close, and he was ready to go.
Phil Bennett with us Mondays out. You're getting ready to go, Craig. We have questions for you, but you're getting ready to be out for a while, headed to Europe. So we'll have you on today, then we'll get you back right before the season begins.
Okay.
Can't wait to do that.
Sounds good.
Hey, Coach, we just had G.J. Kinne on, and he's got, another year under his belt coming up there in San Marcos. Obviously, the move to the Pac-12 eventually coming up for them as well. Your thoughts on kind of seeing Texas State emerge as this place of potential, and also your thoughts just on a young guy, G.J. Kinne, who I'm sure you've heard a lot about, seen play, et cetera, back in the day, and just, everything going on with the Bobcats right now.
Well, Craig, first of all, I've known GJ when your dad was talking about him. I followed him all through high school. Of course, I knew his dad. Dad was a great player at Baylor. And, Sam, my son, and GJ worked together over at Hawaii for Todd Graham.
Okay.
So I'm first of all, he's a wonderful, wonderful young man. And it just tickles me to see the success he's had. The leadership, he did it in Incarnate Word, that he's doing it there. I'm just really excited for him, and I think that he as just listening to him, you can tell those kids will respond to the way he coaches, and he's been coached from his grandpa, and he mentioned Todd Graham. When I was at SMU and he was at Tulsa, he was really a good player. He was a tough guy. He was a guy that could not only throw it, he could run it, made good decisions, didn't turn the ball over. I'm very happy for him.
It's like asking somebody if they have multiple children, who's your favorite son or favorite child. But in the case of you, with everybody you coach with, as far as head coaches, and you were one at SMU, who was the best closer as a recruiter when the head coach had a chance to visit with the prospect?
I'm trying to think. I told you, I'm the luckiest guy in the world. I never had a bad job. I loved every coach I ever worked for, and everyone had a different attribute. One of the things I can remember with RC is RC was he could fit into any scenario. And he grew up in Orange, Texas. He didn't have anything. Him, his brothers, his mom, and then he could go to a country club. But I thought he did a good job of adapting. Curly Hallman was a wholesome, fun. He made people comfortable. But I tell you what, one thing that was funny that always got me was Bill Snyder. Bill Snyder had a presence that I don't care who it was. Everybody adapted to him, whether he went into a high school, whether he went into a parent's home. It didn't matter what scenario he went in, and he never changed. It was the same sort of, he sort of had a deal he did, and I used to think, well, I wish he had changed. But the reason it was him, and it worked because they saw this. He used to always tell me, he goes, your son becomes my son. And I'm going to treat him like that. And he tells this, he goes, if he needs a whipping sometime, I'm not literally going to whip him, but there's a chance I might. And they loved it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Phil Bennett with us on 365 Sports.
GJ mentioned Todd, like coaching hard. You coached people hard. Todd Graham coached people. His grandpa coached him hard. What's the most difficult spot mentally to know that, like, I'm coaching hard or I'm just being a bit of a jerk, right? Like, I've crossed the line and need to dial it back.
One of the things, Paul, that I wanted a sense of urgency. I don't think you can be, football's different than practicing basketball and baseball. It's fun. You can enjoy it. Football is that's why it's such a life builder. I mean, it's not fun to go out in today's heat and hit each other and chase and run and get hit. The coaches have to create that sense of urgency. And that sense of urgency can't be without passion and caring. I always think that I was able to turn it off. I remember, I'll never forget this. Eddie Lackey, it was Bryce Hager. Bryce Hager told somebody one time, he said, one day we were practice and I did something. Coach Bennett was just ripping my ass all day, this, that. And he goes, and I didn't want to be around him. And we're walking off. We used to walk off, go in the locker room. And I walk up, put my hand on him. And I said, hey, how's your dad's new job doing? How's Bridget? How's this? And I looked at him. I thought, who the hell is this guy? He said, he's a Jekyll and Hyde. But but the truth of the matter is, you got to turn it off. And you can have a sense of urgency and coach hard. One of the things I don't think I was ever degrading. I think kids knew that I had a sense of urgency, but being degraded. And if I ever was, and I caught myself, which definitely I am fallible, I would make it a point to, hey, come see me. Listen, this is I'm sorry. You've got to be real to them. If you're not, I don't think you can expect the best.
How do any human does this? They have emotions. They don't like being criticized. Coaches get criticized to also make good money and whatever. How did you keep that out of your head, or was that possible?
I think two things, David. First of all, if you were a coach or you were someone that I really respected and you criticized me, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
But to the untrained eye and to the fan, I didn't need to be validated by people that I didn't think were knowledgeable. Now, that doesn't mean that we all like to be liked, right? We all like to be liked, but I also knew the situation. There was things that they didn't understand. And, I think I told you one. People didn't understand that we were going to play almost a game and a half compared to other people. So our total yardage was going to be more. But the things that counted, the yards per snap, the points per position, I found a way with Art's offense to create positives for our kids. And some people didn't get it. And, and I never worried about it. Now, if you were brave enough, I told you about the time the guy said something to me on the plane after I was coaching at Arizona State. He was a Baylor guy. He popped off on a plane, and we both almost went to jail.
By the way, I have one regret from the trip.
What is that?
I never asked you to give me the name of the coach, and I won't do it on the air, who was cheating, recruiting, and then you took him to the woodshed.
Well, his name. Hey, you would know his name.
I'm going to get that from you next time. I'm going to get that.
You know, it's like at Jerry's funeral. I mean, we grew up in Marshall. I mean, we had to fight for our life, especially me. I was the baby. I got slapped around forever, and then got big enough I could do some slapping, and it was laughed. And some guy got up there, one of Jerry's players. He said his dad told him one day, he goes, "I can't believe you're playing for one of the Bennett brothers." He said they stayed in trouble. Well, we grew out of it.
How much do you look at things before the season to like prepare yourself for what you're about to watch, like we do, or do you just take it like, you know, naked as a newborn baby first week of the season?
Paul, what I try to do, I try to get information on what the coaches are saying. I've read a lot of stuff at the media days, and you can tell the ones that are excited and the ones that are, I mean, I feel like I can, the ones saying, hey, we got to get better and are cautious. You know, I try to get the information. Now, what's interesting, some of these teams have changed so much. I mean, I look at A&M and I mean, offensively, brand new receivers, you know, different makeup. So I think early new coaches, you know, I think, and I mentioned y'all, Ohio State has got a new offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. So there's going to be some things going on there. And, you know, I just try to learn as much as I can and sort of the coaches that I know, see how they'll tie those things together.
By the way, when I was down in College Station with Coach Bennett played Steve Stevenson, a longtime friend of yours and someone I've known. Craig's known him for a long time. A car dealership for a long, long time.
He was my car dealership when I was the head coach at SMU.
And then, of course, Bubba Bean. Salt to the earth. Doesn't even care if you know he's a former football player or not. Just as quiet as he could possibly be.
First round pick, 1975 of the Atlanta Falcons.
And think about that. And we just had the greatest time. I tried to explain to everybody over the weekend how unbelievably. Do we have the picture of the background of the clubhouse, Garrett, that I sent you at Miramont? That's
the back of my house.
Yeah, that's the back.
That's my Miramont.
That's your Miramont. It is just a phenomenal country club. It's monstrous homes, monstrous space. The clubhouse is amazing, and I just had the best time. I did.
One of the things, it was built, I mean, he was involved in every detail. Mr. Don Adams, who my wife works for, a great man who's been absolutely wonderful to the Brazos Valley and Bryan College Station. He put every detail into it. And his top CEO is a Baylor graduate, actually lived in Waco, grew up in Waco, Jim Wolf. So that they have a lot, their hands are on everything there. And it really is a beautiful place that they're very proud of.
Yeah, it is. Did you play well the next day? You said
I played much better than you. And I tell you what happened. You know, I guess I just got going. Hell, I had a little bone in my head too, but not like Steve did. And I think you and I did a better job handling.
Well, when you go from beer to whatever that drink that Julie made to then wine, you got to be smart with how you handle it, right? I mean,
I was proud of you. You handled it well. Now, Steve, when we took him to bed the next day, he goes, I don't even remember going to bed. And I said, I put you to bed. But you know what? It's like I said, why feel bad? You do this once out of 365 days
Yeah.
a year. I know he had fun, and I tell you something. I'm gonna tell people. You know, you said you were struggling with your game. You played good. Didn't you break 80?
Yeah, I shot 79.
That's what I thought. That
And
was
my best shot was when I actually went over the big pond on the par 4.
it was a great shot.
And then, of course, choked my guts out on the putt. But I did make the birdie. But no, I did. Garrett, do you have the picture again, the four of us in the clubhouse in the background? I wanted to let everyone to be able to see this. Look how big. That almost looks like it's like Oxford University in London or wherever
it looks
might
like
be.
a castle.
It is a castle. It is absolutely.
All the stone was from an Italian stone company in Italy, and they were struggling getting it. And Don told Jim Wolf, he said, "Well, let's just buy it." So they bought the company, and and they brought that company to America now, and his grandson runs it. How about that?
It is spectacular. It is absolutely spectacular. So teams are starting to report. Players, there'll be practices, of course, that first game, Iowa State, K-State, and Ireland. What is it like on a coaching staff? Is it frenetic? Do you have everything put to sleep to where you should be just cruise right into workouts? What's it like from a coach's perspective as all this begins?
The first thing I'm going to tell you, with the new rules and what they can do, they've been having walkthroughs and 7-on, and I mean with coaches there all summer. And my son Sam and Jim Gush are an Incarnate Word, and they open the season. I think it's the same day of the Iowa State Kansas State game, the 23rd. I'm going to be in Europe, but I'm going to be able to get it. The Incarnate Word goes to Nichols and plays on national TV that day. But Sam told me, he said, "Dad, we started practice on Tuesday, and it's nothing's changed. It's like we
lose his audio, Garrett? Did we lose Coach Bennett?
He's still there.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We just lost.
Something's happening on his phone.
There we go. Are you there? Yeah, I thought we lost his audio, didn't we? Okay.
We lost him.
All right. Phil Bennett had the best time. I would love for us, I wish we could do this logistically, because of his pool in the backyard kitchen. I would love to one day broadcast from there just because. Not in the summertime. But he's got these air conditioning vents that are these machines that he bought. It's just incredible. The views are great, and I had the best time ever. I really did. I was very fortunate to be a part of those couple of days.
Did you win?
Yeah, I did. Bubba Bean's a good player, but he had plantar fasciitis, and you could tell he was hurting him. He was struggling. Steve struggled, but Coach Bennett played well. I did have the lower score and I should, with my handicap being what it is.
Well, I look forward to having him on again during the season. It was always nice to be able to get him in kind of a reactionary segment on Mondays after all the games are played, to have a hot plate of all these new results and storylines will be fun. I mean, it's good to always just pick his brain in general because he has such a deep history in football and has so many connections. But I am looking forward to once he takes a little bit of a break, and we all take a little bit of a break or have taken one. Only a month away, boys. Only a month away. It seems like it always seems like a long road to get here, but it's really not that far at this point. And looking forward to when that does happen, that he'll be around to talk with us on Mondays.
So he's going to Europe. He's going to be there for a little while. And then when he gets back, the season will be about the games will start. He's going to be there, I think, during K-State. He's back on?
He keeps trying to jump on.
Oh, okay.
Just text him, yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Where in Europe is he going? Did he even mention that?
Probably doesn't want you to know.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, I'm not going to follow him or anything. He could be going to. Yeah. I don't know. I maybe get people hot on his trail or something. I don't know. I was just curious about where he might be going. But that's cool that he'll be around again this season.
I'm determined to figure out a way for us to do a show in Europe.
All right. Are we going to let people know, or are we going to hide like Phil Bennett?
No. Yeah, we're going to let people know. I just would like to look. We have a viewer in Germany. and they're playing college football over there now.
A viewer.
So, a viewer.
So, who is that?
He's not in Frankfurt. He's in Bavaria. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, I just want to make sure it wasn't one of the guys we nuked, because then we're not going to get invited over.
He
there.
actually sent us a super chat the other day when Craig and I were talking about Michigan going over there and saying, "Hey, instead of playing somebody cool, we're going to play somebody from an hour away from us."
No. So yeah, everyone asked if I broke 80. Yes, I did. I shot 79. And a lot of you love that picture. That again, it's called Miramont Country Club. It is a phenomenal place. I was as impressed with just the pictures and the views and these monstrous homes and all that. It was absolutely great.
College Station.
Yeah,
College
Station has.
It looked like a house from Downton Abbey in the background.
Yeah. So you have Miramont, which is the one that he was talking about with Mr. Adams owning and Mr. Wolf. Then you have Traditions, which is the course where A&M plays, and it is phenomenal. Kyle Louie took us there one day to do that one. And then you also have Pebble Creek, which is a very, very nice place. And then there's a course on Texas A&M University that is also very nice. But it was so nice to play a beautiful course like it was. Phil Bennett is a guy's guy. That's from Kim. You're right. He absolutely is. When we come back, Paul Catalina and the top 5. Also, we'll have the poll results from Andrew Valade and more. And this is 365 Sports. Ideal MRI in the Central Texas marketplace on the southern part of Waco, just off I-35. I've told the story about had a viewer who lived in Houston that drove up to Waco at 2 reasons. One, he knew about Pickup Outfitters, which is a former sponsor of ours. In fact, I talked to Jay Arrett over the weekend with their business that like spices up your vehicle, whether it's a car, a truck, or whatever, SUV. He came up to get a car fixed and looked at, and then at the same time needed to get an MRI. So he had heard about Ideal MRI, $497 or less every single time. And in fact, when I was in College Station with Coach Bennett in the men's grill, after we played the round of golf, he had gone to get an MRI, cost him $800. A friend of his had gone to get an MRI, and it was about $1,100, and that's the average of an MRI, and that was down when he was in College Station. But Ideal MRI, worth the drive, whether you're from Bryan, College Station, or Austin and San Antonio, Houston, wherever it might be, Dallas and Fort Worth, because of the money. And it's a state-of-the-art imaging machine. You get the picture your doctor needs to get, and they'll have that usually in a portal for the patient and the doctor very soon after the MRI. In fact, I've walked out of there. They've given me a disc for me to have available. It's idealmri.com.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund. Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow at GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student-athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine now has 2 locations to serve you. The original on Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street and the brand new spot in downtown Waco at 600 Franklin Avenue. If you're looking for the best in craft beers or local Texas bourbons, then the original is the place to be. And for the latest trends and online phenomenons, head downtown to the Franklin location. Either way, you're going to get the same great variety, customer service, and speedy experience. Check out both locations on their Facebook and Instagram pages, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, and now downtown on Franklin Avenue.
This is 365 Sports. Check out the 365 Sports family of channels on YouTube.
We are slowly trudging towards the end of the schedules. We've been able to get through what the ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, and also closing in on the edge near the end of the SEC. And today is South Carolina, the Gamecocks. Craig?
Yeah, and I am going on vacation after this week, so we are knocking this out and finishing this. We have 5 schools left, I believe.
Yeah.
So we're going to knock this out this week, and then I think that's it, right? We're not going to go
Tennessee,
4 remaining.
Texas A&M, and
4?
Vanderbilt. Yeah.
Yeah, after this, we got 4.
Okay.
Well,
so
yeah,
5
5
in total,
including
yeah.
South Carolina. So this ought to time out
totally
perfectly.
planned this out exactly like this.
Mm.
Totally just right on time, the way I thought it would go.
And the way that's why we didn't do some for like 2 straight weeks.
Yeah, just to time it out perfectly from day one. It's exactly what we
It was
intended.
my plan from the time we started this. End it on the last Friday, right before your vacation.
Yeah, well, we're not going to, I think, delve into any others with all due respect, but this has been an exercise ongoing now for months, actually, like 4 months. So here we are, South Carolina, Final 5, South Carolina 9-4 a year ago. Shane Beamer entering now his 5th season, and with a superstar brimming with potential there in quarterback Lenoris Sellers, a big reason as to why people are so excited. And also the fact that, hey, they're fresh off of a 9-win season, went 5-3 in the SEC a year ago. There's a lot to like about South Carolina. And yeah, they were actually in the playoff conversation there at the end and had at least some segment of the population, a lot of them probably residing in South Carolina, that were fighting for them to grab one of those final spots. But to be fair, they had at least a case. They had an argument that could be made and definitely momentum at the end of the year. So again, not previewing the team necessarily, but looking at their schedule, here's what South Carolina has in 2025. And I think next year I'm grading graphics, and this one's fine. It's totally fine. It's nothing too crazy, nothing. It's got a lot of good info. It's got all the info on it, which I kind of like that. So you don't really have to go looking elsewhere for any of the details there. But yeah, it's a fine graphic. And so here we go. Starting off on August the 31st, it'll be a big non-conference game and a neutral site as South Carolina will open play against the Virginia Tech Hokies. So SEC, ACC matchup right out of the gates with Virginia Tech and South Carolina. So a nice start there. Then the following week on September the 6th, and it's all Saturday games for South Carolina as well. All Saturday, all year long. But then it will be South Carolina State at home in week number 2. And then Saturday, September the 13th, sticking around at home, it'll be SEC play opening up there in week 3 as they have a unique schedule of 2 non-cons to start and 2 non-cons to finish, and then all SEC in between. And so South Carolina State followed by the SEC opener against Vanderbilt at home. Then Saturday, September the 20th, first road trip, true road trip of the year and first SEC road game. It'll be at Missouri. And then Saturday, September the 27th, back home, and they will play host to Kentucky before then heading into their first open week. So Vatech, South Carolina State and Vanderbilt at home, Missouri on the road, and Kentucky at home. I mean, this is, for who they're expecting to be, like, I think 5-0 is realistic. I think that's actually probably what you should hope for and expect if you are South Carolina. And anything more than like a loss, I think, would be a mighty disappointment in this first 5 games. So what do y'all think?
Yeah, I think that they should be all right. I mean, there's nothing to, really scare you off in the first one. I don't know how good Mizzou's going to be. They're breaking into quarterback. Kentucky is on, Coach Hot Seat watch, and Virginia Tech, and that's a neutral site game. I just think they're so head and shoulders above. And if they lose to Virginia Tech, that's a huge stumble right out of the gate.
Well, you have Vanderbilt with those sky-high expectations with Pavia, and you have South Carolina coming in with sky-high expectations. That'll be fun to see which one of them gets the win or the loss.
I mean, yeah, somebody's eaten an early loss in that game, so that will be notable. But I think South Carolina's positioned to where outside of like the top dogs, you feel like you should probably win every game. And so, yeah, there's toss-ups there. Really a shame how Virginia Tech's viewed nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that should be a really big-ass game, and I'm sure it will be for those involved, but y'all are just kind of, and I don't mean like y'all personally or anything, but like just kind of glossing over Vatech, and that's not how we were for a very long time, but we'll see if the Hokies can give them some trouble. So definitely see the potential for a loss or two, but I feel pretty solid that you're like 4-1 or 5-0 if you're South Carolina. Now, second stretch of 3. They come back on October the 11th, and they return, and they will be on the road in Death Valley taking on LSU. So we'll see if that's a night game at that point or what, but no time announced just yet. But at LSU, then the following week, they will be home against Oklahoma. Little familiarity there with Beamer and OU. Mm-hmm. And then October the 25th, they stick it home for 2 straight weeks as they will play host to Alabama. So Oklahoma and Alabama back-to-back at home, then back on the road before their second bye week, and they will be at Ole Miss. And then that second bye week that I mentioned. So that stretch, chapter 2 of 3, at LSU, Oklahoma at home, Alabama at home, at Ole Miss.
If Oklahoma is improved, and if they are 2 to 3 wins better, that right there is as salty a 4-game stretch, and maybe 5 when we extend it, as you might have.
I think if you're 2-2 out of there, you should be thrilled. If you're 1-3, you're probably out of the playoff. But if you're 2-2,
wait a minute. If you're 1-3 and you're South Carolina, you're probably out of the playoff.
Last year they were 9-3 and almost in.
I know.
So
I know.
Because of they've got.
You do know what's coming up.
I do know what's coming up after that, but they have to save their third loss for that last stretch, right? If they're going to get, because again, the propaganda's already started. So
yeah.
So after that very interesting and very difficult stretch there, if you were to take these segments, and it's hard to do because everybody's is different, but if you were to take just a sampling of a four block piece of the schedule, I don't know how many would have, on paper at least, as tough of at LSU, Oklahoma, Bama at home, at Ole Miss. That's pretty damn salty. That's one of the tougher stretches we've seen with no breaks. But then they will get that break the second weekend of November, and then when they come back on November the 15th, they are on the road, Kyle Field against Texas A&M. Then November 22nd, they get out of SEC play entirely. Like A&M's their final SEC game. So again, 2 non-cons, all 8 of their SEC games, and then 2 non-cons to close out the year. So those 2 non-cons to close out the year, November 22nd, that SEC special, baby, although Coastal's been feisty in years past, so they're not exactly like, who do I want to piss off today? Furman.
Look, they just flipped theirs. Coastal should be where South Carolina State is normally. Yeah. So they flipped theirs. Yeah. Coastal's better than probably anybody else in that little SEC special weekend.
Right. SEC special would have been more like South Carolina State, but instead it's Coastal at home. And then the big rivalry game to close out the year, South Carolina and Clemson and this one at home for the Gamecocks. So that is how they will finish things off. Already announced as an 11 a.m. kickoff on Saturday, November the 29th. So I will give them credit. You can have an SEC special when you're playing Virginia Tech and Clemson in your non-conference.
Yep.
Respect for that. So I won't knock, the scheduling that some try to do, like in Bloomington nowadays, or other places in years past. But yeah, Virginia Tech and Clemson, your bookends on this season. That's pretty good stuff. And then, road trips to Missouri and LSU and Ole Miss and to A&M, and then big home contests against the likes of Vandy. I'll put them in there now. Oklahoma, Bama, Clemson. And that Virginia Tech game, I mentioned neutral site. I don't think I mentioned where that is, did I? But
No.
It's at Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta. So that is where they will open the season, is Atlanta for that neutral site game. So there you go. There's South Carolina's 2025 schedule. And I looked I'll make this a permanent habit if we do this again in the future. But
What do you mean? This is a staple.
I was trying to find their over-under wins total, and now it's giving me like spreads for the actual games. But I believe the over-under, if this is right, and AI is not always right, but looking elsewhere, this is it. 7.5 was last look for South Carolina.
I'll take the over. I think
I will too.
I think they're good enough to be 8-4 if it all comes crashing down. And that to me is that's their floor. I think they have with Lenora Sellers and the guys that they have and what Shane Beamer's building there, I believe they can be better than that. But the schedule is just unrelenting for them. So,
and Virginia Tech last year was a bowl team. I think they ended up losing 7. They were 6-7. Yeah, so that could be. I don't know how much better they're going to be, but you're right. The other in the meat of that middle section of that schedule. Good God, that's good.
So 7.5, I think I would be tempted to go over because of just momentum and sellers and things like that. But you see why those are always so fun to dabble with, because they are always right on the money of like just the edge of what you would consider an easy choice one way or the other. It's like right there to make it difficult. So yeah, you can easily see them losing 5 games potentially. But yeah, I could see 7.5 being right there. Might seem kind of low just given the momentum, but then you look at the schedule and you're like, oh, damn, there's some losses on here. So, yeah, there you go. There's South Carolina, 7.5 wins, but a couple big-time non-con games and some tough SEC contests as we would expect.
Real quickly, because it was part of the chat, and oh, by the way, Tennessee tomorrow, then Texas, and then A&M, and then Vanderbilt. If you look at their schedule, Sellers, is he better than these quarterbacks that he's going to play? Pavia.
I would take him over Pavia.
Nussmeier.
Push.
Yeah.
Mateer.
Push.
I'll give it push.
Yeah,
push is fair.
Ty Simpson.
I'd take Sellers, yeah.
Ole Miss.
Austin Simmons, better.
Marcel Reed, better. Klubnik.
We'll see.
Yeah, there's some great quarterback matchups, especially with this specific schedule that they have with South Carolina, the Gamecocks.
Yeah, so they won't have your schedule was too weak argument. They will have the resume if they get to that point. They should at least.
In fact, by God, if they go 9-3, as long as those 3 losses are not to a team they shouldn't lose to.
Of the 3 teams that had the argument last year, I thought theirs was probably the best given how they closed.
They had a legitimate reason to say what they were saying.
Yeah. As where Ole Miss had the Kentucky pimple, and Alabama had the Oklahoma pimple.
Yeah, they lost at LSU, home against Ole Miss, at Alabama by 2.
Yeah,
the Ole Miss game though, they got crushed. Like,
that was part of it. 27-3.
That was their problem, though. I guess was their argument was. I guess I can't be hypocritical. It's kind of like the Baylor TCU argument. Okay, well, true, your 3 losses are to these other teams that are trying to get in.
Lost by 3 to Clemson. Yeah. But another thing, beat Clemson, excuse me. The loss to Illinois in the bowl game, of course, if you're an SEC team and losing a bowl game, it's not because you really cared. I know you hate it when I say that.
No, it's just, we almost got out of there without a shot. We just had to give one right there at the very end.
Garrett's gotten full of himself today. That's why. I mean, he's a LSU guy. All right. When we come back, Paul Catalina's top 5 and also Andrew Valade and his poll results, 365 Sports.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at shop.samsonite.com. Samsonite.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5.
Welcome into Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Flag and Anthem. Go to flagandanthem.com. Use our promo code 365sports. Today we're talking about B storylines in the ACC. Now look, I'm structuring this as if we're writing the sitcom of college football this year. There's always an A storyline, a B storyline, and a C storyline. Think about any episode of Seinfeld and how there's a main story that kind of runs through, and then there's another one, and then there's a really small one. These are the secondary storylines of what's going on in the ACC. Tomorrow we'll do the Big 12. Wednesday we'll do the Big 10, and Thursday we'll do the SEC. Number 5, will Clemson like the taste of the portal? Just a little taste. Just a taste. They got a few portal guys. A couple of them are going to be probably pretty important to their team this year. And Dabo Swinney finally relented on his previously unrelenting stance that he didn't need the portal. Eventually, the roster was going to dictate that he did. But he didn't go full tilt in, which is the best way to do it. I think the reason that Clemson has not been an ACC title contender is that they haven't used the portal to fill out the 4 or 5 spots that they needed. Not 10 to 20 spots. Nobody was asking them to go full Chinese buffet on the portal. They were just saying, hey, why don't you take 4, 5, 6 guys and plug in some spots with some more experienced people instead of having to throw out true freshmen that are not as strong as you want them to be yet. Well, they've done that. Will they enjoy that little bitty taste of the portal? It can be very addicting. Ask many schools. Just that little taste. You just bump one rail, a portal, and all of a sudden, you're selling your TV and just you've alienated all your friends. Oh, wait, that's cocaine. But portal can be a powerful drug, and we'll see if Clemson does like that little taste that they've taken. Number 4, how will Stanford navigate through this season? Frank Reich stepped in the spring. He is just there to drive the bus this year. The restart starts after this season. What will that look like? How do you get through a season starting when he started? And then not only that, because of the way that transfer portal rules work, and when a coach changes, you can leave, losing some of your best players. So even if they, were an okay team to start out with, which they really weren't, which is why Andrew Luck was brought in, well, now the okayest parts of their team are gone. So what do? How do you navigate through that? Does it get really bad, or is it surprisingly good? Stanford's not going to the playoff. They're not going to contend for the playoff. They're not going to contend for the ACC based on the roster that they have. But
seeing how Andrew Luck and Frank Reich navigate that thing will be very interesting. Number 3, can Tommy Castellanos back it up? He has talked a lot of noise. He defies Bill O'Brien that he quit on the BC team last year. He's talked trash about Alabama. He said he's torn up the ACC himself for a couple years, although the actual numbers would maybe dispute that. And believe me, there's nobody on God's green earth who wants Tommy Castellanos to back it up more than this guy right here. But he said a lot of things before they played their first game in pretty much a totally new team and a totally new offense. So we'll see what happens with Tommy Castellanos down the line. Number 2 is Jeff Brom, the portal QB king. If he can make Miller Moss as good as he made Jack Plummer and Tyler Shuck, and look, Miller Moss is heading in with better credentials than probably both of them had as they went in, that is saying something. What if he could actually recruit and develop a guy in this modern era? Jeff Brom might be able to win some ACC football games and put themselves in the title conversation. And number 1, is Carson Beck healthy enough to win? He had a pretty serious arm injury in the postseason and says he's back and ready to go and all of that. But when you're talking about a quarterback whose arm is what they do, and Carson Beck, whose arm strength is really by far the best thing about him because he can throw the ball healthy through 3 brick walls. He has a cannon. Does he have that full strength, and will that help Miami this year? If he is not full strength, are they good enough around him to overcome wherever he is right now in his recovery and development as Miami's QB? We'll see. That's going to do it for the top 5. We've got Andrew Vallet's polls right now.
All right, Paul, thank you so much. And Andrew Vallet with your poll results, the first one of the NFL's top 4 favorites. Which college football mascot ranks number 1? I actually went with Mike the Tiger. I just he's real. He's a badass, a tiger.
Well, Brutus the Buckeye. I mean, he's like a nut. It's not a thing. I mean, it is
Reveille's it's an animal. Of course,
I will take Reveille as a dog lover and someone who grew up bleeding maroon. So I will take Reveille.
Did I see where Reveille had eye surgery or something?
Yeah, it's lost its eye.
Oh God, that's
they
horrible.
had to take its eye out.
I hope
So
they
what
give-
is this? What
I
is
hope
this
they give her
from?
a patch.
Oh, just okay. I think Puddles is pretty cool. I mean, it's a pretty iconic mascot. You got it like a live tiger though. Like, I mean,
Come on,
live tiger's as cool as it gets. So I think I go live tiger. Reveille's great, but I don't think it's as cool as a tiger. So yeah, I think I'd have to go with Mike the Tiger over all the rest. And I think Reveille's very cool, even though it's easy to make fun of, but it is a very cool tradition and something very unique, as most things are with A&M. But yeah, I'm sticking with Mike the Tiger.
All right, so there we are with that one. Nice number of votes, a lot of votes here. Who had the best of those who have seen Happy Gilmore 2? Who had the best cameo in the movie? Scotty Scheffler, well below. I think John Daly wins any vote, no matter what the vote might be.
John Daly and Bad Bunny, their roles almost like they're in it as much as they might even be supporting characters and maybe more than a
Will
cameo.
they be up for an Academy Award?
No. No, it won't. But John Daly is very funny in the movie.
No, he'd be funny in anything.
Yeah, he's very funny in the movie. And, I mean, all these guys are good. But, yeah, I think people got it right. It's Daly and Scheffler. Scheffler's part of it is very, very funny. But Daly
Scheffler
is
kind of in a perfect role for a guy that really doesn't care about the attention, but was funny as hell based on what you told me.
Yeah. But
right.
I'll tell you, all the golfers that were in it, Nicholas, everybody's got a line. Our buddy Lee Trevino's back in it. He was the only one who was in the first one. He's really funny in
Don't give it away.
So yeah, I mean, they've got a lot. Like it's almost the game to play of like which golfer from this era is not in it is more of the thing than who is in it, because it's a who's who.
All right, so there we go. John Daly, twice basically, almost twice as much as Scotty Scheffler. Andrew, thank you very much for the polls that we do twice each show, and then the results following the top 5. Brandon Rowe, thank you so much helping us get that G.J. Kinne lit up earlier today on the interview. Garrett Ross, thank you. And Brandon's working on 365 Sports tonight at 10:30 tonight on the CW. Thanks to Andrew Valade. For Craig and Paul, back tomorrow. I'm David Smoak. Have a great night. This is 365 Sports.